Welcome, everyone, to the Islanders Never Say Die podcast. I'm your host, TJ, and with me here, as always, is our NHL analyst and expert, the grumpy old man. They say there's no shame to his game because he's always the same.
That's me.
Grumpy, how are you doing on this fine Saturday evening?
Okay, I'm surviving.
Summer.
How about you?
Days of summer. I can't complain. It's things are slow, man. It's slow times in the summer. Grumpy is probably the nicest way I'll put it. Slow
Dog days. Dog days. Actually, dog days start in August, but I guess you could say the dog days are here at the tail end of July. Yankees and the Mets out of the playoff hunt. Islanders invisible. No future for them. Rangers suck. Knicks, Nets, they blow. Jets starting training camp, having a couple of scraps. Watch out for the Jets. Giants, Saquon Barkley. Just blah, blah, blah sports days. What can I tell you?
Blah, blah, blah sports days.
Got to be creative.
Yeah, you're not wrong with that. We are at a spot where things have slowed down, obviously, significantly. The offseason is over for the Islanders. That was what last podcast was. Offseason's over. Come on, let's come to that realization. I guess now, we're talking a little bit about expectations for the season. Is it too early, late July, to talk about expectations for the season, where he thinks things will transpire? Is it too early to start those conversations, Grumpy?
For us, no. But for most people, yes.
Right? Oh man, yeah. I was about to say, I don't think we're going to see too much happen. This last stretch of time before training camp starts, right? Because you're starting to see all the countdowns where it's like, "Hey guys, Islander fans, it's only 84 days until the Island." I'm like, oh gosh, it's already started the countdown and the clocks and everybody. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say I'm excited about the new season. Think about that. I'm not. I've had you look at the last 10 years, during the beginning of this Lou Lamoriello era, and I'll call it the Lou Lamoriello era instead of the Barry Trotz era. But the Lou Lamoriello era, when we had Barry Trotz as a coach, when things were just starting off, I was excited pretty much every year with Barry Trotz as a head coach for us. And then kind of tailed off, and then we bring in Lane Lambert, and you kind of see how the team is kind of starting to be composed. There's a little less excitement, at least on my end, for new seasons. And maybe I'm the only one like that, but I don't know. I'm not giddy with excitement getting ready for this new year. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, Grumpy. Maybe other people are excited about the new year, Grumpy. Are you excited about the new year?
No, I'm not. I don't think we're going to make the playoffs. I think we're going to be in middle of the road team, whatever that is, an average team. We'll beat some teams we shouldn't. We'll lose some teams that we shouldn't. Can Sorokin be as phenomenal as he was last year? Because if he's not, I don't expect the team to be as productive as they were last year. Really, what would we be excited for? If the training camp started today, what would you say? Man, I'm excited to watch this.
Yes, let's talk, because I think there's room for optimism in this section. Oh, hold on. Before we jump into that, because I think it's a good section. Before we get started into meat and potatoes in the podcast, this is for those of you who are new, this is a twice a week All Islanders podcast that takes place every single Wednesday and Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're new to the channel, there's a few things that we encourage you do. We encourage you subscribe on YouTube. Actually, we demand it. No, I'm just kidding. We encourage that you subscribe on YouTube so you don't miss out on any of the further action. We encourage that you like on Facebook and follow on Twitter. And also, if you like the show, you like the podcast, leave a thumbs up, write yourself a 5-star review for Grumpy. Who knows? Apparently, that helps the algorithm. And also, we have a twice a week all sports podcast called TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. It's a show where myself, the Grumpy Old Man, and the magnificent Son X, we talk anything and everything sports. We go live on Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and just shoot the shit talking sports. We talk NFL, we talk MLB, we talk NBA, we talk NHL, we talk world football, we talk college athletics. We talk anything and everything sports on that show. It's called TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. Thursdays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Sundays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You could find that in the link in the description below and as a featured page here on our YouTube channel. So make sure you give that a check out there. But yeah, Grumpy, I mean, what would I be excited about if training camp started today? Is it weird to say I would be excited to see what Oliver Wahlstrom brought to the table?
Okay.
Am I the only one in that? Am I the only one in that spot?
I guess you're hoping that he's takes the next step.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, what would you consider a positive season for Oliver Wahlstrom?
I consider a positive season for him being consistent. I expect him to be on the power play, a fix on the power play for the entire year, to be on one of the power play, preferably a first power play unit. Worst case scenario, second power play unit. I expect him to be on there every single night. I expect him, he's going to start off on the third line. I expect him to work his way up to a top 6 role. That's what I would expect for him to be a positive season for Oliver Wahlstrom. Whether it happens or not, that would be a successful year for him. He plays on the power play every single game. He starts off on the third line, which is where he'll probably start. He'll work his way into a top 6 role, and he ends the season with anywhere between 45 to 55 points. I look at that as a successful bounce back year for Oliver Wahlstrom.
Okay. So who's playing on the first line to start the season in your scenario then?
I think it's going to be Anders Lee, Matt Barzal, and Bo Horvat.
Okay. Well,
I know it's not trust me, it's not something to be excited. We talk about what we are excited about for camp. That's not one of the things I'm excited about for camp, but that's probably what I'm thinking the lineup looks like opening night.
Okay, so you're saying 45 to 50 points for Wahlstrom.
45 to 55 points. I'd be excited.
Okay, well, that's a big swing.
Sure.
I would say 45 points, 25 goals, 20 assists. I'm looking for him. It's about goals. It's not about assist or anything like that. He's not an assist man. How many goals is he going to score? I think 25. He has to have 25 for the Islanders to be more successful than they were last year, potentially. Okay. I don't think he can get 15 or, 18. He's got to have 25. I think he has to be on the power play, just like you said. He should be on the first power play unit, period.
I agree with that.
End of story. Is he going to get that opportunity? I don't know. I mean, last year, even before he, had the knee injury, he started off the season pretty well. And then he got demoted and busted down. I guess he's not doing the little things. Hopefully he's learned from that. He's had some time to reflect. But I agree with you. He must, by the end of the year, be on the first line. Otherwise, this team
top 6 role, however it needs to be done. He needs to be playing at the end of the year. We talked about it last year. He didn't play any power play, but he was only averaging about 12 minutes a night. The kid needs to take the step in order for him to be a success, in my opinion, have a successful year. He needs to be playing 15 plus minutes a night.
Okay. And I agree with that. I agree with that. He can't be just an afterthought guy. He's got to play more than, Pajot's probably going to get more minutes just because of the situations he plays in. With Parise gone, those are a lot of minutes that are available. Who's going to take those minutes over? That's what I want to know.
I hope it's not Pierre Engvall, who takes up all those minutes and gobbles all those minutes up. But that's what they look like. He's going to be right. Engvall is going to be cemented in on the second line to start the year.
He's not going to be on power play though.
Who knows what's going to happen regarding that?
He's not good enough to be on power play.
I've seen Josh Bailey play on the power play under this regime plenty of times, and I say the same exact thing, but somehow they do it.
Yeah, I don't see Engvall being on the power play.
Last year, when Wahlstrom was healthy, they sat Wahlstrom, did not play him on the power play, and put Josh Bailey out on the power play over him on the second line. Tells you all I need to know in certain situations.
Maybe that's why we're 31st in the league on the power play.
Oh no, it's just because we had the wrong coach. That was all. We just had the wrong coach, and we had the wrong systematic, structure, and even though we average between middle of the road to below average every year on power play, on average, some years a lot worse than that, some years 1 year is better than that, but on average, middle of the road to awful.
1 year we were 16.
I thought it was 13. It doesn't matter. Top third or middle third.
Yeah, and every other year we've been in the mid 20s.
Yep.
I mean,
On average, below average.
and a lot of people say it's the coach. I say it's the talent. It's just not there. I mean, that's what I'm looking for. Is the power play going to be able to produce it? You would have to think it would absolutely produce at a higher level than it did last year.
I'd like to say yes.
How does Scott Mayfield, because it seemed like he took a step back a little bit last year.
In the regular season, sure.
Yeah. I mean, even in the postseason. I mean, okay, he was not the, here's the thing. Does he lose more? Does he lose another half step?
Gotcha. I understand what you're saying.
So, I mean, those are things to look out for. If he takes a step back, that's trouble for us. 7 years. Another 7 years of Scott Mayfield. I love Scott Mayfield. How's he going to be at 37, 38? Probably not good. I mean, so if a power play jumps up, do you think we're as good defensively? I don't know. I don't know.
I think there's a lot of questions. There's still some questions going into this year, but like getting back kind of on the original topic of the question, like the Oliver Wahlstrom is something I would be excited about coming into camp. What else I would be excited about? It's very limited. It really is.
Bolduc is the only other guy I'm looking at.
I would be, yes. And here's the thing. I've got reasonable expectations for him. I'm not expecting him to take huge, gigantic leaps and bounds forward in the improvement of his game, but I am expecting him to look competent on the defensive side of the puck and to limit the amount of times he looks like a liability on the ice. I mean, like he's a bigger body. He skates okay and adequately for a defenseman for his size. And seeing how much he progressed in the offseason is one too. And what are we going to see from guys like Romanov, the second year in the system, and Dobson? What are we going to see from those young guys? What types of steps forward are we going to see from those guys? That's where I'd say excitement is. And I know that one that we haven't mentioned yet that I'm sure I have not looked at the comments, but people are probably going to be littering the comment section with is, how does Matt Barzal and Bo Horvat look when Matt's 100% healthy and they have a little bit of time to gel and have some chemistry? That's, I think, that is the biggest question of the offseason. We talk about how does Wahlstrom bounce back? How do the young guys look? How do the young defensemen look this next year? The big thing is, how do the $9 million man and the $8.5 million man on the new contracts look? That's a big one, I think, too.
I think going into the next season, there's more. I think more things have to get better for us to make the playoffs.
I agree.
As opposed to, oh, well, if something goes bad, it's okay. We can overcome that. I think more like, I 100% agree. Barzal and Horvat, they have to produce 9.25 million, 8.5 million for the next 7-8 years, whatever it is for the two of them. They have to produce. If they don't they don't continue with that chemistry that they showed initially, it could be a long year for the Islanders. For the life of me, I think Anders Lee, I think a lot of what happens with a lot of players, can they improve, is how Lane Lambert puts the team together. Who plays with who? You talked about defensively. My thought. You want to get the most out of Dobson, you put him with Pelech. You want to get the most out of Romanov, you put him with Pulak. And for Sam Bolduc, I think for him, he has to show that he can be a bottom pairing guy, where it's not going to be Sebastian Aho, it's going to be Samuel Bolduc. I think that's really, really important. Sebastian Aho is limited. He is what he is at this stage. Bolduc has some upside. Can he wrest that job away from Aho? I think that's important for the team to take the next step forward. And can Sorokin be as good as he was last year when he was sensational? That's, everyone would say, well, this guy did this guy did this. Sorokin was the only reason we made playoffs last year. Only reason.
Yep.
Otherwise, we're on the outside looking in. Maybe we have a new GM. Maybe we have a new coach. Maybe we blew the team up. But no, they kept everybody together. Why? I don't know. You tell me. But I think without Sorokin, this offseason would have looked a lot different.
Yes. this offseason would have been blow it up mode. If Sorokin wasn't there, we would have been 2 years in a row not making the postseason. The only reason we made the postseason and squeaked in was due to Sorokin's fantastic play. I know you'll get some over there. Oh, well, you'll find some people try to fudge the numbers in order to try to go ahead and say, well, he only played great in games that we blew out teams and games that we lost in a big margin. He didn't come up with the save. It's like the loser's lament. It's like how can I go ahead and try to back up my point that he's an average or a sieve in net, and it's just not the case. He's spectacular.
I don't think anyone who's objective really thinks that.
There are people out there who think that, but
not if you're objective.
Sure.
Not if you're objective, it's not. If you are goose stepping to the Lewin de Lamanites crew, okay, maybe that's what you believe. But I mean, if you just look at it from the outside looking in, he's the reason why we made the playoffs. Period. End of sentence. End of story. He was sensational last year. Second in the Vezina Trophy. I mean, think about that.
One thing I will mention too, and I think it's an easy comparison. Shesterkin and Sorokin always are competing against each other around the same age, around the same area, around the same talent level. I'll say that out there too. Shesterkin 2 years ago was magnificent, fantastic, wins himself a Vezina because he was that great. This last year, Shesterkin didn't play at the same level. We knew he wasn't going to play at the same level, but he did not play at the same level. Why are we saying, could we see Sorokin take maybe a little bit of a step backwards or not play at the same exact fantastic caliber? It's just really tough to have your goalie finish top 3 in Vezina voting year after year after year after year. It's a really hard ask. And if you're going to rely upon your goalie to be top 3 in the NHL every single year, year in and year out, that guy's a Hall of Famer. It's that simple. And the only guys who play at top 3 level every single year for an extended time period are Hall of Fame caliber goalies. So, unless we have, and here's the thing, it's early yet in Sorokin's career. It's early in Shesterkin's career. I think Shesterkin, right, having won the Vezina makes it a little bit more appealing to make the Hall of Fame if he plays long enough. But for Sorokin, unless he's a Hall of Fame caliber goalie that we're witnessing every single year, you could see a little bit of a step back from him this next year. And it wouldn't disappoint me either, because you have to have a reasonable expectation. To expect the goalie to finish top 3 and the best goalie in the entire universe competition, essentially, I just think it's an unrealistic expectation at times. I think Sorokin's great, but I don't have the expectation every year he's going to be one of the top 3 goalies in the league.
Goaltenders who are ultra consistent, Luongos, Raws, Brodeurs, Hassicks, they were like that because that's why they're in the Hall of Fame. That's why they're all Hall of Fame goaltenders. So most goaltenders, they'll have, even Shesterkin. His numbers were still good last year, really good, but he took a little bit of a step back. Can we see that from Sorokin? I think so. Their numbers are really similar, but Sorokin was phenomenal. And Shesterkin wasn't as phenomenal as he was the year before. So,
yeah. And I'll pull this up here too, right? You look at him the year before, a .935 save percentage in the 2021-2022 season when he won the Vezina, and a .207 goals against average, led the NHL in goals against. And you see here the year after, well, and even look at the rookie year, only 12 games, really great save percentage. Well, okay, .916 save percentage is good, right? I'm not complaining about a .916 save percentage, but it's not a .935, right? There's a difference between leading the NHL in save percentage and goals against average to where I'm kind of upper middle of the pack where Shesterkin was this last year. And Sorokin, if he takes a step back and let me put it like this. If Sorokin's posting a .916 save percentage this year, we do not make the postseason. Yeah. I feel very confident when saying that. He saved so many more goals than he was expected to concede, that if that drops a significant way, you're talking about what could be the difference of like 12 or 13 more goals in the back of our net over an 82 game season. We don't score enough goals where I feel confident to say, yeah, we can go ahead and give away another 13 goals and still feel confident about making the postseason.
If you look at Shesterkin's numbers, the goals against average, that's fine. It was like 2.52, 2.68, 2.57. The outliers, the 2.07.
Yep.
And like I said, I'm not saying he's a crappy goalie, because he's not. He's really good. But sometimes somebody has a career year. Now, if you take a look at Sorokin's numbers, you're going to maybe see now, of course, it's one more year, but you're looking at his numbers, right? 2.17, 2.40, 2.34. Save percentage has been better over the course of those 3 years than it has been for Sorokin. Can he keep that up? Can he continue to have a high 92 plus save percentage? That's hard to do.
Yep. Year in and year out, that is really tough to do.
And he's going to get the lion's share of the work for the Islanders.
If he does that over I'm sorry to interrupt, but if he does that over the majority of his career, he will make the Hall of Fame. Sorry, go ahead.
Let's say he has a goals against average next year of 2.48 and a save percentage of 919. That could be just enough where the Islanders don't make the playoffs. And it's still a really good year.
Yeah.
But like I said, he was absolutely phenomenal last year.
Spectacular.
He was
spectacular.
And how many times did he just single-handedly win us games? I mean, I can't tell you how many times. He was just that good.
Yep. When you finish in the Hart, 9th place in voting,
as a goal,
as a goalie for MVP in 9th place for a team that barely squeaks into the playoffs, you're doing a hell of a job.
So for anyone who doesn't think he's the reason we made the playoffs, he's the only guy in your team who even got any Hart consideration. He was top 10 as a goaltender. Top 10. I'm going to bet that who won the Vezina last year was Ullmark, right?
Yes.
I wonder if he was even top 10 in Hart Trophy.
No. Ullmark was 10th. Or he was 10th. He's one below. So he was below. Think about this. 127 votes for Sorokin. Just to kind of throw out the names where he's around, right? He had the most votes for the MVP out of any goaltender. I always think that's funny, right? He had the most votes out of any goaltender for an MVP, but doesn't win the best goalie. Well, the video game numbers that Ullmark put up obviously inhibited that. But I mean, like, you're looking at the guys who are around him. 7th was Leon Draisaitl, Jack Hughes at 8, Ullmark at 10, Connor Hedelbeck at 11, Nikita Kucherov at 12, Mitch Marner at 13, Tage Thompson at 14, Erik Karlsson at 15, Austin Matthews at 6. I mean, he's in really fantastic company. I mean, that's the nicest way you can put it.
And like I said, MVP, the Hart Trophy, it's not numbers. It's not a numbers thing. It's about most valuable player for the team. And that tells you all you need to know. I mean, we've had people on this show. They shall remain nameless. But a certain leader of the Lamanites doesn't think that Ilya Sorokin's that good. Compares him to Kirk Cousins. And I just think the rest of the league, as well as myself and you, TJ, tend to look at it a little bit differently. So anytime you're hearing stuff like that, take it with a grain of salt, because let's be honest, he was sensational. No other Islanders even got a sniff of a vote for MVP. Not even
When's the last time an Islander has received a Hart Trophy vote? I'm interested on that. And, I guess you could.
Tavares in the year that Jamie Benn won, I think Tavares was 2nd.
Think about that, though. It's been 7 years or 6 years. 6 years? What, did John Tavares leave 6 years ago?
I don't remember the year that he came in 2nd to Jamie Benn. Or he was in the running. I think he was 2nd in points. I think he had 87 points. Ben had 89 or something like that, whatever year that was. But I think that was a year that he, certainly garnered a Hart Trophy recognition. But that's it.
I'm looking here. The last year he had, and he finished 13th in Hart voting, 2015, 2016.
Okay.
He finished 3rd the year before that.
Yeah. That was the year. That was the year. I think he came in 2nd in scoring and 3rd in the Hart Trophy. That's it.
Yep, that was 2014-15.
Okay.
That was the year. Did we beat the Florida Panthers the 2014-15 season in the first round of the postseason?
I want to say it was 15-16.
Okay, maybe it was. I don't know. The shitty years all blend together, in my opinion. But, but I mean, think about this. It's the first time a player, I feel. Oh, he did receive. Yeah, this is the first time an Islanders received. I'm wondering if. Do you think Matt Barzal received any? No, he couldn't have as a rookie.
Nope.
But I think this is the first time we've had a player receive substantial Hart voting and his top, top 10 since Hart voting, or top 10 in Hart voting since 2014-15.
Matt Barzal might have got some votes,
but not enough to make it relevant.
Yeah, I mean, certainly not top 10.
Yeah.
I mean, but what does it say about our talent level? We really don't have the good teams have guys who are right at the top every single year of guys who are for league MVP. They just do. Why? The best players produce. Their teams are better. We don't have that because our team's not very good. Our players aren't very good. The GM keeps doubling and tripling down on guys who just aren't very good. Sorry. Bo Horvat, has he ever had any recognition for Hart Trophy? No.
I wonder. Maybe Bo Horvat got some this year.
I'm going to guarantee you no for Bo Horvat. He disappeared after the trade. And Vancouver sucked.
Yeah, he didn't get any Hart votes.
And he didn't deserve any.
Yeah.
You know who else didn't get? Pierre Engvall didn't get any.
What? Pierre Engvall didn't get any Hart Trophy votes?
Brock Nelson didn't get any. Anders Lee didn't get any. I mean, no, that's just facts.
It is. But, this year, right, we talk about what margins look like. I think a lot of teams in our division specifically took steps forward this offseason. I really think they did. And I think for some of the teams in our division, the offseason's not over, right? You keep hearing about, hey, there's a lot of interest in Erik Karlsson. Does that deal get done? Who knows?
Pittsburgh's really hot for him.
Yeah. But sometimes things don't actually happen. It can, but sometimes they don't happen the way people expect them to, and that could be one. Oh, go ahead, Grump.
San Jose absolutely wants to move him. I just think it's about putting the pieces together. I know Carolina wants him as well. Talk about an embarrassment of riches down in Raleigh. Honestly, if he goes there, he had over 100 points as a defenseman on a shitty team.
Yep.
I mean, he was in the MVP vote, top 15.
Finished below
Sorokin. Why? Because San Jose sucked.
Yep.
He was the whole team last year, but they were terrible. The Islanders made the playoffs, and it was all due to Sorokin.
If the Islanders had a better team around Sorokin, I bet you this. I bet you his numbers look a little better, and I bet you maybe he wins the Vezina.
Agreed.
Even with a lower goals against, even with a goals against average, maybe not as good as Ullmark, and a save percentage, it might not be as good as Ullmark. I think that if the team was better and he put up slightly better numbers because he had better defense, they had more run support or more goal support around him, he would have maybe won the Vezina this last year.
I think the thing that makes Sorokin more valuable than Ullmark was last year is the fact that Ullmark and Swayman had virtually a 50-50 split in games.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, his numbers were better than Swayman's, but everyone knew he was the highest rated. No, Pasternak, I think, was higher up. And Pasternak had a great year last year. He really did. But, for Boston, he was absolutely a valuable piece for them last year. Got injured in the playoffs. That was the end of Boston. Mm-hmm. That's the whole thing, injuries. We've been pretty healthy.
Yes.
Year after year. One guy, we usually don't have a rash of injuries. One or two guys.
We're missing one guy off our team with injury last year in the postseason. One guy, and that was Oliver Wahlstrom. You could say maybe Matt Barzal was banged up. He swears up and down he wasn't. To me, it looked like he was. To me, it does, but he told us he didn't. But I still think he was injured. Just my opinion on the subject. But he said he wasn't. But, we've looked at the last few years we've gone to the postseason. When we have, we've been a very healthy team when we make the postseason. We have. Yeah. So
and that's credit to the guys in the room, knowing their bodies, and to the training staff.
Sure.
Without a doubt. That's all on them. It's the players and the training staff. We might have a little injury, but we don't miss a whole lot of man games during the season. We just don't.
Let me ask you this, Grumpy. In order for Matt Barzal and Bo Horvat to be a success, that line combination to be a success, what type of production do you need to see out of them? And here's the thing. Some guests on the show or some people, they'll try to go ahead and leave themselves some wiggle room. You're not one of those type of people. That's why I figured I'd ask you. I'm just looking, how many goals, assists, how many total points do we need to see from guys like Matt Barzal and Bo Horvat in order for them to be deemed as a success this season?
Let me just put it to you this way. I was going to ask that before you asked me that question. I'm going to say To me, the biggest thing that needs to be identified and clarified early in training camp is who is going to be on the left wing to make
Yes.
that line as productive as it can be. Is it going to be an Engvall? Is it going to be maybe sliding a Fashing up there? Is it going to be, it's not going to be Holmstrom, but is it going to be a Wallstrom? They have to identify that right away. That's the biggest question going into training camp, in my opinion. You have the same cast and crew as last year. You should know everyone. If you want to get the most out of Dobson, you put him with Pellick. Those just, you asked earlier, can Dobson, can he take the next step? Not if you're playing with Bolduc or with Romanov. He's got to play with Pellick. Then you're going to get the benefit of him being able to flex his offensive muscles. For that first line, who can we put on that first line that makes it go? I think it has to be someone who can skate. I just think that because, Bo Horvat he's a little bit above average as a skater.
Slightly above average, sure. He hustles. Let me put it to you that way.
Yep.
He's not the greatest skater, but he hustles. He still is. He still sometimes he dogs it a bit, but I think sometimes he really hustles out there. Depends on the night.
I don't think he dogs it. But here's the thing.
Dog.
Honestly, Zach Parise 10 years ago, if he was 10 years younger, would have been perfect for that first line.
Yeah.
Perfect for it.
Yeah.
He can't do it. He couldn't do it last year. He can't do it anymore. He's third line guy. Fourth line guy. It's what he is. Now he's not even on the team.
Let me get back on topic. Oh, finish, but I want to get back on topic on what the question is.
That's going to be a deceptively big loss for the Islanders.
Yes.
And I was not for signing him. What is it? 3 years ago now. I was not. I'm like, of course, the contract made it feasible because it was nothing. But still, he's going to be a big loss. I'm not saying in the room, but on the ice. Lead by example guy. Who takes that step up? I don't know. And to me, that's the biggest question. You want to know points. And it's all depending on who they put on left wing. If you put Anders Lee over there, that anchor, they won't be as productive as they should be. It just won't work. But I would say for a successful season, Barzal has to be a point a game guy, has to have 80, and Horvat has to have 70. I think those are just must happens if that line is to be where we think it should be.
I'm going to go a step above. I'm be honest with you. You brought him in. You see the power play points. You see the production. For it to be successful, Matt's got to put up 90 points, in my opinion, in the year. Here's what I'm hoping happens. Matt Barzal puts up 90 points. Bo Horvat's around a point a game guy. What I think probably happens is different. I think Bo is probably around a 60, maybe 65 point a year guy, and I think Matt Barzal hovers around a point a game average. And for me, that's like borderline. Is it really? Because when we talk about it, when it gets down to the brass tacks, is having guys who maybe average a point a game, is that worth $9.25 million and $8.5 million? I don't know.
If you're a point a game guy, I say I think Bo Horvat will be overpaid. Matt Barzal drives the offense, though. That's not what Horvat does. And I like Bo. Everyone knows I like Bo Horvat, but he's not a line driver. Just not. He needs someone to feed him the puck for him to be productive. You get paid based on what you bring to the offense. And for the Islanders, Matt Barzal brings the only creativity the team has. When you're leaning on Pierre Engvall as your second most creative forward, your team sucks creatively. Just does. Sure. Those are just facts. I hate to say it like that to people because they want to live in their bubble of believe land, of fantasy land. But in reality, Pierre Engvall on a good team, he's a bottom six guy.
I would expect they're going to give Bo Horvat every single opportunity to be successful. Where in Vancouver, he was not the guy, if that makes sense. And that's why my expectation for him is higher. Some might say, why am I expecting a guy who I've been on record saying multiple times, I think is around a 60 point a year guy? Why would I expect him to produce more on the Islanders than in Vancouver? I think in Vancouver, they had a lot of other fantastic forwards they were able to rely upon where Bo Horvat was not the guy. With the Islanders, with the trade and the signing that we went ahead and the re-signing we had for him, He's being paid like the guy, and he was traded and acquired like he was the guy. So for me, if you're going to be the guy, you got to step up and be the guy. If you got to be that guy, and Matt Barzal we know what he can do. If he's paired with the right players who have chemistry, I think it could definitely be done. But it's just, hey, does that mesh like it did before the injury? Or does that mesh like it did in the postseason where it was kind of like, okay, it's kind of puttering around? We're looking at a really small sample size of 7 games that we're trying to grasp at and say, great, look at the production they had over 7 games. Maybe they can continue that over an 82-game stretch. And in reality, that 7-game stretch could have just been a little bit of a hot time period for them. They're going to have hot and cold times throughout the year.
Yeah, I'm going to believe that Barzal's going to bounce back. To me, the key is getting a left wing who can skate. And that's why I'm not all on Oliver Wahlstrom playing on the first line. I know I said, he should be there at the end of the day, but I'd start off the year without a doubt with a Hudson Fasching or Casey. I mean, you can plug and play anybody on the fourth line, right? Let's be honest. Sure. Yeah. But someone who knows what their strengths are, we drive the net. We give the puck to Barzal. We move our feet. We get there. We're going to get the pass back. They looked good because they use their feet. They have wheels. That's what Matt Barzal needs. You can't have Anders Lee on that side if you're going to have Bo Horvat in the center. Can't do it. You're going to kill whatever drive there is on that line. You're going to kill the pace. We have to have at least one line with pace. It's got to be that first line. Barzal, Horvat, and like I said, that's why I wanted a top line left wing to come in. That's why I wanted Johnny Gaudreau last year. It never would have worked. Yeah, it would have worked. Absolutely, it would have. Those guys move the puck and they move their feet. That's what we need. Something like that to go with Matt Barzal. That's the biggest question going into next season. Can we find a left wing who can produce, who's not same old Anders Lee on that first line? No.
Let me ask you this. What else would you be excited about coming to camp? Because I think we've named them, and maybe we're missing something. We named the progression we see out of some of the younger guys, like Noah Dobson, Romanov, Samuel Bolduc. What do they look like? The bounce back from an injury of Oliver Wahlstrom. What does he look like coming back? Does he take steps forward? Does he find a spot in the lineup where he could be a mainstay? Does he find, power play success? And I think what we see from Matt Barzal and Bo Horvat, right? Those are the spots I think where we can have optimism, where we can think there can be improvements in those areas. Is there anywhere else on this team where you think there could be significant improvement or improvement worth excitement?
No, that's it. It's the same guys in their 30s playing the same positions every year. They do the same production every single year. They are what they are. They're ham and eggers, just a bunch of jabronis, if you will. And, heaven forbid, Brock Nelson takes a little bit of a step back.
He's had 3 years in a row where it seems like he continues to have career year after career year after career year. And Mike, hey, if he stays on this pace, man, he's going to be over a point a game guy this next year, just based off of how quickly he's been continuing to improve his point production.
When Barzal went out, he got a lot more ice time.
Yes, I think so too.
So that's not going to be the case this year. When they need an offensive line out there, it's not going to be Nelson's line. It's going to be Barzal, Horvat, and player X on the left wing.
Yeah, let's go ahead and jump into our ad read here and then look at some comments. Today's podcast is brought to you by DraftKings. New customers, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the promo code THPN. Bet just $5 to score $150 in bonus bets instantly. Again, that's promo code THPN and again, it's MLB season time, Grumpy. But if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. In Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050 or visit Gambling Helpline, ma.org. And New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. And Kansas, call 1-800-522-4700 on behalf of the Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. And West Virginia, if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. All games are regulated by the West Virginia Lottery. Please play responsibly in partnership with the Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races in Connecticut. Help is available if you have a gambling problem at 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. You must be 21 years or older in eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details on specific or state-specific responsible gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. One boost eligible per game. Opt-in is required. A maximum bet of $50. You get a 10-plus leg required for a 100-point boost. Eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions apply. See the terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/baseball terms.
Nice read. Nice pace.
I know we've been having the same one for a while because it's the dog days of summer. But Grumpy, I feel like I got to mention this Wednesday. Grumpy, Greg Prado is going to be on the show. He wanted me to check. Did you get both of the books that he sent you, or just get the one book, Grumpy?
I got them both.
You read the punk rock and the heavy metal, Grumpy, or just the heavy metal?
No, I read them both. I question where some of these songs were placed in which book. I think he was playing a little bit fast and loose with the rules of punk rock myself.
What's punk rock, Grumpy?
Like the Clash, particularly early, Richard Hell, the Voidoids, the Ramones, the Sex Pistols. That's punk. So a lot of the stuff I consider new wave. I would love to see a new wave book from Greg. I'm gonna get on him about that.
You're gonna give him an idea what he needs to write about next. New wave,
particularly since I get the book ahead and I get to review it and I get to keep it and it's free. I absolutely want him to do something that I'm interested in.
There it is. I want to put out more Islander stuff, Grumpy. And that's how we originally ran into Greg. He's got the fantastic book about the Islander dynasty time period,
which was excellent. Love that book. Yeah, it still is.
It's told from the perspective of, you hear the words right from the horse's mouth. Like the writing style is more that of asking questions.
That's right.
Go ahead, Grumpy.
It's asking where the writer, Greg, I guess, or someone more important than him, ask the players and the coaches and their families and whoever, GM, throughout the organization for whatever time period it was. And they ask them specific questions and they give them their own answers. And, it's interesting. You kind of you feel, players kind of like this, and you listen to them talk. It's like, interesting. Seems like something totally different.
It's not where you're reading it and you have to worry about really the author's
narrative,
opinion and narrative being imposed upon the book. It's not Greg trying to disseminate what the person said and does this mean that and this. You're hearing it straight. It's more of you're hearing it straight from the horse's mouth as to what they're talking about, but it tells a story and goes in an order that tells a story. The questions are designed to tell the story. So, I mean, that's how originally we found Greg. And, we love having him on there talking about old Islanders, talking about the Islanders, talking about, like Grumpy likes talking about some rock and roll, but he'll be on Wednesday. Also worth mentioning, next Saturday, there will be no show. I'm sorry. There will be no show this next Saturday.
What are you doing on next Saturday, TJ? Because I know it's not because of me.
Yes, I will be out of town again. I'll be out of town going on a little bit of a fishing adventure, Grumpy. A fishing adventure. Here's the funny thing. I haven't gone fishing in over a decade, but I'm like, people are like, hey, come go fish with us. I'm like, okay, I'll come. It's the dog days of summer. I'll come. I can take a Saturday to go fishing, I feel like. So
you're trying to say you like seafood?
Here's the thing. I don't eat seafood unless I'm on the coast. So unless I'm towards North Carolina visiting a beach or something, Grumpy, I'm not eating seafood. That's simple. So
I disagree. I think everything you see, you eat. Seafood.
There it is.
That's an old joke. And I actually think I've used it on you before and you still fell for it.
I do what I can. Anthony Rizzi says, what can we possibly talk about tonight? What a joke of a roster this is. What a pitiful job Lou's done in the last 2 years. I'm clueless. Not looking forward to this season at all with the same lineup. Yeah, I agree, Anthony.
That's interesting. How does the fan base look at it? I know the smart fans, they're like Anthony, they're not enthused. I mean, how long before we have ourselves a 7, 8, 9, 10 game losing streak before the rest of the Lamanites start questioning the things that Lou has done. I don't know, because it's coming. But I mean, honestly, are you excited for the season coming up?
I'm not. That's how I started off the show. I'm not in a spot where I'm excited like I was in years past. I wasn't excited for last year. I'm even less so excited for this year.
I think a lot of times excitement for the new season comes based on how
the old season ends and what we do in the off season.
That's right. I think it's more what you've done to improve the team in the off season. When you've done nothing to improve your team, I don't see how you can get excited.
We didn't end on a high note last year, right? If you ended on a high note and you said, "Oh wow, we found our way into the playoffs, but it's our first time making the playoffs in 10 years, and we've got a whole bunch of young players who are continuing to improve, and we've got this piece that we expect to take a next step forward," and you add in some pieces in the offseason, you have a reason for excitement. When that's not the case, it's tough to be excited about, Grumpy.
Very, very difficult.
Let me ask you this, Grumpy. I didn't ask you at the beginning of the show, but why are you wearing a New England Patriots shirt? Is there a reason for that?
Well, it's kind of faded, as you could tell.
Yes, I can tell. I'm like, what the heck? It's an old, it looks like you've worn it so many times the letters have started to run.
Actually, no. I actually kind of bought it like this. It's like a faded look, but I think it's apropos to wear on the show tonight because Patriots were a once great organization led by the greatest of all time. But now, under the same general manager who, rolls it back, runs it back year after year, they're kind of faded, and they're probably the worst team in their division. And I just think as general managers get to be in their 70s/80s, their careers have kind of faded. And I feel that's kind of where the Islanders are right now as well.
I think, and we made that comparison. I don't know if we made it. Did we make it on this show or do we make it on the TJ and the Grumpy Old Man show? We made the comparison.
I think on the TJ and the Grumpy Old Man show.
Yeah, we had talked about that, and I think kind of in depth about we're in a spot to where just like Bill Belichick was at one point, right, the greatest general manager out there in sports and football, definitely in football, but maybe you'd make an argument in sports. And there was a time period when Lou Lamoriello was the greatest general manager out there in hockey.
One of the
many years ago. When he was winning for the Devils, I'd say he was probably the best general manager, if not close to it. Sure,
top five. Acknowledge top five.
Yeah, exactly. He's at the top of his craft, and so was Bill Belichick. And just like with what you've seen with the Patriots, how miserable they've been as of recent, they did not do a good job of pushing Bill out when he needed to be pushed out. When he was kind of when the line's done and the success is over, where you need new blood, where you need to change a little bit about what the direction is. The Patriots haven't moved him out. The Islanders haven't moved out Lou Lamoriello. Both were greats at one time, but there's a time period where it comes, you have to take the next step forward, and you've got to turn the page.
I'll say the difference between Lamoriello and the Islanders and Belichick and the Patriots is Belichick has the cachet with 6 Super Bowl titles.
Yes.
Lou Lamoriello,
all with the Patriots, might I add.
Right. All with the Patriots, all, with Brady at quarterback. But still, he was the GM and coach of those teams. So he gets more rope than Lamoriello done. What has Lamoriello done with the Islanders? Made it 2 Eastern Conference Finals. That's it. I mean, the biggest thing I want to say about, and it's about as you get older, and I can tell you that from personal experience, you kind of get set in a certain way you do things.
Sure.
You look at Belichick. He has 7 guys on his roster who just play special teams. They're not talented enough or good enough where you could just sign special team guys, particularly in the salary cap era. And what does Lamoriello do? He likes veterans. He likes a veteran group. So he just locks guys up long-term, regardless of their talent level, their age, their skill set, and he locks them up long-term. Sometimes that's kind of a blind spot. Well, we want to get the same team back. Your team hasn't won anything. Why would you want to bring everyone back? You see it in New England. You're seeing it in the Islanders. The Devils saw it with Lou Lamoriello when he was there. Toronto saw it for a year or two, and they said, nope, not buying into this. They kicked him upstairs where he wasn't able to do that. something you should really need to pay attention to that.
Rick Roma here, Grumpy.
Lou named Stanley Kowalski, hey, Stella, head coach of Bridgeport. It might seem like laziness on Lou's part, but I think he just doesn't care about the AHL team. He never cared about them in New Jersey either. Comments?
Here's the thing. I think he cares because his son's name is attached to the AHL team, but that's the extent to if his son was not there, sure, I'm 100% down on board with that. But just simply because his son's there, and I think we've talked about this before. I've never seen a guy speak so highly of, hey, we're gonna have to ask Fredo.
The GM of the AHL team.
He spotted that talent for us. We're so fortunate to have him as a part of our staff. I cannot recall the last time NHL general managers, and especially if they only speak to the press a very finite amount of times. They speak to the press, you can count it on one hand every single year, maybe 5 times a year that he starts talking about the AHL general manager, what a fantastic job they've done. So I'd say the only reason he cares about Bridgeport is to make sure his son still is looked at in a positive light, to make sure that he can have that next opportunity when daddy retires. That's what I think, though.
I just, yeah. Fredo, Hunter Lamoriello, whatever you want to call him. I don't know. Just a failure.
Anthony Rizzi says, can we start the chant for Lou must go now?
Okay. The people who go to the games, I'm going to put you to task. We need to have a chant that Lou must go is kind of generic. It has to be something creative. I've been thinking on it, but it's tough. It's tough to come up with something that's kind of funny, but would get out there to the people. We have to come up with a good chant before the start of the season. I don't know what it is. Lou must go. I don't know. That's been done before. Mike must go. Snow must go.
Snow must go.
Just don't insert name and just put must go on. It's got to be something creative. As a matter of fact, if we have any Duke graduates, I'd like to see you put your nose to the grindstone of this. Those Duke kids were really, really good at coming up with creative chants against players and coaches.
And Jarrell says, I don't know either. So TJ and Grumpy, what topics do we have tonight? Hey, we were talking positive tonight. What can we be excited about?
What can we do to make the team as successful as possible? Besides, not go to games and have the, ownership get rid of Lamoriello, but maybe some positive things. What we're looking forward to. What needs to happen for us to be a better team? It's not even the Islanders that I'm worried about. It's the other teams behind them who have gotten infinitely better. Florida will be better next year. Florida's not coming in 8th next year. That's not happening. Buffalo will make the playoffs. Book it. Book Buffalo for the playoffs.
JP here, Grumpy.
I know Guy Marr goes the first minute of that music, but who does the next track? I have no idea what you're even talking about.
I thought maybe you knew a little bit about what the tracks were. Anyway, James F., what's up? He says, hey, guys, Lou must go yesterday. On time today, says James.
Relatively for TJ.
Hey, I'll take it. We'll take it. Uh-oh. Echo issues. Oh, man.
Okay.
Hope not, Grumpy. I hope not. Hope there's no echo issues. Anthony Rizzi says, 5 stars to you guys for even having a podcast now. Dead of summer. No news at all.
It's tough. That's why we're kind of relaxed. Today we're just kind of relaxed, laid back, hey, kicking back, talking a little bit Islanders hockey. What do we have to look forward to? Maybe they'll change uniforms again. Who knows? Probably not. Remember last year, I think we talked about the retro jersey. It wound up being a bust, but at least it was something we were considering.
Yeah.
I still wish they would have done a different one.
We'll find, hey, finding topics to discuss is our job. We'll always find something to keep conversation going. Mikey D, Grumpy. Oh, gosh.
This is good. The Phil's Facts side of Twitter. Like I said, just being objective. I just want people to be objective. Number one, we're fighting for a top spot. Okay? Objectively.
Top spot of what?
In division, I guess. Top spot of what?
That's what I'm saying. A top spot of what? Top spot of maybe what?
Just be objective. Do you think you're beating Carolina? No. You haven't beaten them in 5-6 years. Are you beating the Devils? Nope. They're going to be improved next year.
I think the Devils might take a step back in the regular season, but in the postseason,
maybe
a much better constructed team.
if they get John Gibson or Connor Hellebuck, they're not taking this. They're going to take a step forward.
I agree with that.
They could win division. You remember, they in Carolina were like this close.
And you talk about how they're compared to at least the Islanders, right? When they brought in Timo Meier, do you expect Timo Meier to play as miserable as he did the rest of the season, right? We use the same argument. Hey, there's no way Bo's going to play that bad. We think Bo's going to. I'm sure they're thinking the same exact thing about Timo Meier. But yeah, so I think that's a team that going to be around the same exact point total this year as they were last year, and that's a team where they're very young. I'd expect guys to take steps forward. But go ahead. I'm sorry, Grumpy. Continue.
Julian Goff. Who else? The Rangers. Do you think the Rangers were going to? We were 15 points behind the Rangers. The Rangers kept everybody that they wanted, and they added Blake Wheeler, who's a good player. It's funny. A lot of these issues are, I call them laundry fans. If a player is signed by your team, he's great. If he's signed by another team, he sucks. Those are like laundry fans. Whatever laundry they're wearing, you're wearing the Islander laundry, you're the greatest thing ever. Julian Gauthier, stop. Hard freaking stop. He's a fourth liner. He's a fourth line guy. Okay? So who does he knock out? Maybe he's good enough to take a fourth line spot. Can he play center? Move Casey to the first line? I don't know. Maybe. But to expect anything more from Gauthier than that, I think you're delusional at this. He's a fourth line guy. Couldn't even play for the Rangers. He goes to Ottawa. He's a fourth line guy. That's what he is, a bottom pairing guy. He's bottom six guy. Okay, we're not catching the Rangers. Okay, Pittsburgh's going to beat us. If Pittsburgh gets Carlson, Pittsburgh makes playoffs. We don't make playoffs, period. Washington, all right, they made some improvement. At least they've done something. I think we could still beat Washington out, and I think that we will definitely beat out Philadelphia and Columbus. But let's say Columbus surprises and takes a big step. The Fantinelli kid comes out and is lighting it up. Gaudreau has a really good second year. Maybe he's more comfortable there.
Fantilli.
I'm sorry. Maybe Gaudreau's wife's got a better schedule at the hospital. That's why they went there, right? So maybe that'll help too. I mean, I can't see Columbus beating us out, but hey, you never know. So honestly, I see us being fifth in division. And as opposed to conference, no shot at making playoffs. None. You're expecting no one to step up and the Islanders to improve just because they have a bunch of older guys on the team. We've done nothing to improve our team in the offseason. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Sorry.
And now I can't find it, of course, now, but I think they came out with top prospect pools in the NHL, and the Islanders were, I think, dead last or second to last.
We don't have a prospect pool.
Yep. That's my point, right? People Maggio, William Dufour, hey, Ruslan. We were, I think, last in the NHL where our prospect pool is, or second to last. It was pretty embarrassing.
And then you have prospect pool rankings don't matter. Well, it's true the rankings don't matter, but it is a reflection on how teams around the league view your team and the players that can step into your lineup.
Yep.
They're not just saying, oh, it's the Islanders, let's put them last. No. I mean, objectively, just be objective. If people are objective and just think rationally, and none of Phil's people think like that. He'll spew out some bullshit and they just slurp it right up. Why? Because they want it to be successful. That's why they don't believe it. That's why they want to listen to Phil like he's a voice in the wilderness. We are the voices in the wilderness, right? But here's the thing. They think that the Islanders have been bad for so long. We hear them on this show. They've been bad for so long. We're just happy. This is gravy time. We make the playoffs. No, sorry. And prospect pool rankings, while they don't matter, like I said, once again, they're indicative of the next phase of your team. Right now, we don't have a phase. We're dead last for a reason.
Yes, and he said, yep, they're stoked for mediocrity. Absolutely, Mikey.
Sure.
Nick T said, Teacher Grumpy, how are you guys doing tonight? How are all the groupies doing? It's a nice hot night, and I'm sure the cul-de-sac crew is in full swing barbecue party.
I bet all those barbecues are over at Josh Bailey's house now.
Rick Roma said, "Never mind. I had to podcast up twice. I'm dumb." Oh, okay, gotcha. JP says, "Who is more important to the Islanders dynasty? Nelson, Doubleday, a minor owner or a minority owner, or Wally Harris, NHL referee?"
Neither of them. Neither of them.
I'll tell you who any of those guys were. Who?
Nelson Doubleday was insignificant. Wally Harris was the referee on Bobby Nystrom was offside, but it didn't matter. I laughed. My brother was as a Flyers fan, and he always, Bobby Nystrom was offside. That was in early in the second period. I mean, the Islanders were up 4-2. If that game was 3-2 going into the third, the Islanders approach it totally differently.
Yes. It's like the same thing when in Game 7, when the Islanders played Tampa and we lost in Amalie Arena or Amalie Center, wherever the hell it's called, and they're up 1-0. They immediately said, well, the Islanders are not a heavy forecheck team. The Islanders are a counter type of team. We're not going to go ahead and get, we're not going to get stretched. We're not going to try to go ahead and play two up the ice. We're going to sit back in our defensive zone and say, here you go, New York Islanders, try to beat us, try to score on us with talent, and we do the same shit you do. And we had no chance of doing that. So they played it differently. If it was a tie game, they still would have been playing their style of hockey, just peppering shots on net, having chance after chance. But it was situationally how they play based off of what the score is at that time.
And those are the really good teams are able to do that. They're able to play any style. They can alter their style depending on the situation. You're right. That's what the Lightning, they got that 1-0 lead, and they're like, you can't score on us. And we didn't.
Yeah, Grumpy. Next comment here. Nick D says, podcast reminder, fire Lou Lamoriello immediately. Goon says here, what do you guys think? What do you guys think Josh Bailey is currently up to? I don't think he's part of the cold. You think he still hangs out in the cul-de-sac, Grumpy?
I'm sure that he gets all the charcoal and he runs the whole thing now. It's all over Josh's house.
So, Josh, you don't think there's any sour grapes? Okay.
Not with the guys. Not with
Nick
the guys.
He said, call in show tonight. No, sorry, Nick. Too late to do that there. But Nick C says here, who are your guys' picks for the biggest breakout player and biggest regression by a player? I think I think we kind of talked about what we're expecting. Who do you think has the biggest breakout for a player this year, Grumpy? And who do you think has the biggest regression?
God. Shit. Regression. I honestly, I don't know. I expect everyone to do about the same. It's not like you're not going to see a guy who's 30 years old breaking out. Whoever plays on the first line, left wing, if it's not Anders Lee, that's going to be my breakout player for the Islanders.
Okay. So if it's Engvall, he'll get a chance. If it's Hudson Fasching, whatever it is, biggest regression. I think the biggest step forward is going to be taken by Noah Dobson.
Okay.
I think he takes a big step forward this year. I think if he's paired with Pelech, I think you see what he can really do. And I think the biggest step backward, I'm going to say, he's going to come from an unlikely candidate, Kyle Palmieri. Kyle Palmieri, well, he only played this many games, but look at the point production. Yeah, okay. We'll just wait. Or maybe it's going to be Brock Nelson.
I think it's going to be Brock Nelson.
It could be. I love Brock Nelson. And here's the thing. Even if he had a real down year last year, he still has done way more than what his contract was.
Even if he has a down year this year coming up, let's say he only has 50 points, I'm not really going to be too down on it. Well, I probably will because, I like to bag on him. But probably not. But, I don't know. For down year, I want to say Scott Mayfield maybe. I don't think he was
had such a bad year last year. Think he's going to get much worse?
I don't know. He's a guy who plays a physical style. He's not a great skater. When guys like that hit the wall, they hit the wall. Maybe he's one of those. Does Pelech take even a further step back? Does Pulock take a further step back? I don't know. I mean, for progression, it has to be somebody who's young. You're not going to get some type of progression out of an older player.
JP Grumpy Man says John Tonelli is in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Is he a legit Hall of Famer?
Yeah, I'll say yeah, sure.
Okay. Rick Roma said dog days of summer are here. Good luck putting a podcast together, gents. Rick, I don't know if you were here last summer. We'll have plenty to talk about. We will.
That's why the TJ and the Grumpy Old Man show is so great.
We don't have to worry about trying to steal other people's ideas or comments or anything like that. Trust me, we think about Islanders way too frequently.
Sometimes we talk about the Islanders sometimes.
And we'll talk about other people's comments too sometimes and other people's thoughts, but it's like we don't need to hey, what's going? But yeah, we'll definitely find a way. But thanks, Rick. We'll find a way. We'll produce content. Mikey D, Grumpy.
I've narrowed down Phil's biggest enemies: Kyle Dubas, Josh Bailey, Alex Lafreniere, Chris Drury, and TJ.
I'm glad I've made the list. JP, Grumpy Old Man.
The Greasy Jet was my favorite Islander, but I'm not so sure he's Hall of Fame worthy.
Anthony Rizzi, Grumpy Old Man.
Maybe you have some guess on who can talk about our prospects, whatever ones we have. LOL.
We will. August 5th. I hope it's not August 5th. Hold on. No, maybe it's August 5th. August 5th, Nicole Sherman will be back on the show. So August 5th, Nicole will be on. I'm trying to get everything lined up here for the summer months here and guests on and everything like that. You know, we need to have, you know, we like to get all the friends of the show on and people who've been on in the past to talk Islanders. So Nicole, I think, is August the 5th. So not this Saturday coming up, but the Saturday after she'll be on.
And there's no, it's not true that Nicole rates her prospects based on hair color and eye color. It's not true.
Okay, Grumpy. Here you go. Doug
Blonde hair, blue eyes. Doug R says, let's talk about the trade deadline. What can we sell off? Nothing. We have okay. Oliver Wahlstrom, Noah Dobson, Alex Romanov. That's it. That's all we have who's movable on this team.
Yeah, well, we're not.
No one else.
Deadline.
No one else.
I can promise you, we're going to be buying at this year's deadline. Unfortunately, more buying. Goon Grumpy. Do you think Phil's Facts wears button-up collared shirts even in the dog days of summer? Yes,
he wears them asleep as well. I heard.
Yes, I'm going to go out on a limb and say Saturday, even though maybe they probably went to the park or they did something. He was wearing his button-up shirt. Rick Roma, Grumpy Old Man.
Islanders are in on Nylander and Backlund, just like they were in on Debrincat. Islanders being used like always. They're not in on anyone.
Mikey D, Grumpy, and I'm gonna use the restroom real quick, but you'll know where the spot is right there in the comments. I'll be right back.
I think our division's top teams are set, but with some questions. Carolina, nothing. New Jersey, does the D or the goalies hurt them? I don't think so. The Rangers, do they still have the consistent low effort nights with Laviolette now? No. They don't. They'll be better. Rangers are going to be better. And that's a team, okay, who can step up? How about Lafreniere and Kakko? You saw light from those guys. The light went on for those guys at the end of the year. Rangers are going to be better. So anyone who thinks that we're beating out the Rangers, you're mistaken. Nick Canetta says, do you guys think the lines will be do you guys think the lines will be compared to what they should be? Okay. You can include players on the AHL level that you think should get a shot. No one is getting a shot. This team's set in stone. The only thing is who takes Parise's spot. Is it Wahlstrom or is it Holmstrom? That's it. That was the only questions. Scott Levy says, good evening. Hello, Scott. JP says, I have ice hockey training videos that really are, no joke, inspiring. Kids are doing things skill-wise, and I wouldn't have dreamed when I was playing ice hockey in Long Island in the 80s and the 90s. They do have some phenomenal drill videos. They absolutely do. It's usually, I mean, you have to have talent, but drive is the most important thing. Rick Romer says, top three in the Metro: Devils, Canes, Islanders. Your thoughts? Islanders, no way. Islanders top three. No way. No freaking way. Sorry, Rick. Mikey D says, expectations are another year of misery and watching the Islanders fan base twist everything and stay in denial. I want to say that's probably pretty good. Drew says, I think TJ needs to go golfing more so he can be accustomed to looking professional for both podcasts. That's not a bad idea. I've seen him swing a golf club, though. Watch out. Doug R says, I'd be excited about this year if we had a different GM, different head coach, and a younger and faster players. That's a total overhaul, Doug, and I think that's what we're all looking forward to. Anthony Rizzi says, I agree with Grumpy. No chance we make the playoffs this year. The question is, how bad can we be? I really want us to be very bad, so owners tell Lou to break it down and change the core. They need to get rid of Lou. I think they believe in him too much. This team has been, honestly, the time that we had a chance to maybe make a real push for the Stanley Cup was the off season after we lost to Tampa Bay in the semifinals the first time. that was a time, okay, let's load up. We know what Tampa is. What do we need to do to combat them? Bringing in Andy Green and Zach Parise and Zdeno Chara was not the answer. Bringing those type of players, not the answer. JP says, ugh, the core. David Sean McDonald. Well, I think after a long summer without hockey, once it starts, I'm sure we'll all be excited until 20 or 30 games in, and they were throwing in the towel. We have a lot of people giving up early. That's cool. No problem there. Matthew S. says, good evening, gents. Definitely blah sports, but the U.S. ladies starting the World Cup play. Blah. I can't even watch women's soccer. It's horrible. If you watch men's soccer, it's horrible. Nick Canetta says, what player deserves to be called up for first from Bridgeport? My pick's Ishikov. He should have been given a chance last year. I'm really interested to see how his game can transition to the NHL. I just don't think the Islanders are going to give him a shot. I just don't. I think he should, but I don't think that he will. I have no faith in that organization bringing him up to play. He doesn't fit what they do. Mikey D says, we're not finishing top 3 in the division. Laugh my ass off. You can hate the Rangers all you want and downplay them, but you can't ignore, even without Laviolette and Wheeler additions, they're still better than us. Wheeler's going to be good for them.
Yes.
Anyone who says it, Phil, anyone who says that Wheeler is not a good player, they're just deluding themselves.
Yeah, I think he's a guy that, for the price that you paid for him, that's fantastic. Like, okay, I wonder what people were thinking about Zach Parise, who had moved from, he was playing in a top 6 role, played a little bit of a hissy fit. They moved into a bottom 6. They freaking cut his ass, and he was available as a free agent for anybody. He signed on a vet minimum deal here with us. Did we say, I mean, I'm sure people could have been saying at that time period, is he a locker room? We were talking about it. Is it a locker room problem? The guy got kicked. Good.
I didn't say locker room problem. I just didn't think he had it anymore at 37 years old.
Sure. Yeah. But obviously
Wheeler can play. Wheeler can play. He's going to be beneficial to them. JP says, doesn't matter that the Islanders throw in the towel. I refuse to let them waste my love for hockey.
Yeah, it's like the same thing. Like, if you're a fan of a team that just always is on the treadmill of mediocrity, you're kind of like, you want the team to be good. You're going to will the team to be good, but it's disappointing. And you get your hopes up. You want it to be good. There are going to be times next year where we're saying, holy shit, maybe we were wrong. I'll be honest. At the beginning of last year, I remember asking when the team is off to a hot stretch, I'm like, maybe we're wrong. Maybe the team's a lot better than what we thought.
I didn't say that.
Okay. Here's the thing. I think it's right and just to ask the question if it looks like your statement can be wrong. And we asked that question. Now on the show, we still stood with our thought process, but I definitely asked the question off the show. I'm thinking to myself, okay, were we wrong? And we were not. So, JP says, I'll be watching ice hockey one way or the other. I'd watch the damn Q if I have to. The Quebec Major Juniors. But Scott L., grumpy old man.
Since not much news is out there, what is your all-time starting lineup minus the cup players like Bossy, Trottier, Potvin, Smith, Gillies, etc.? Well, you would have to tell me exactly which players are left out. But let's say, so no cup players. Is that what we're saying? So no cup players. I would say Turgeon, LaFontaine,
John Tavares.
Okay. Defensively, Kenny Janssen. Goaltending.
Oh, so hold on. One defense, but not just one defenseman we're looking at here?
Oh, geez. It's tough.
I was about to say, it's tough, too, because you look at a defenseman outside the
Malikov was good.
Yeah, it's like you look at it and you think to yourself, I'm like, oh, are we talking about like the Travis Hammoniks? Like, where guys are like, they contributed, but I'm like, I don't know. It's tough.
Ziggy Palffy.
Sure. Ziggy Palffy's another one. Absolutely. Anthony Rizzi says, training camp. The only thing I'll be looking for is how Wally, Maggio, William Defoe, and other youngsters look. I know they won't be on the NHL roster, but I'm very curious about their development. Sure, that's something also to be kind of excited about and saying, okay, how does Maggio look? How's William Defoe look? Is his skating taking a step forward? Is it stagnant? What does that look like? And how does Maggio look, who's getting a lot of pub and hype there from his season last in the OHL? That's a good thing to be excited about, Anthony. Sure.
Defoe should be working on his stride every single day.
Every day, his training should speed, power, explosion. Every freaking day, acceleration. I'm talking about. I'm not even fucking with you right now. It's got to be at least an hour and a half, 2 hours. That's his entire offseason. All the other shit's fucking gravy. You've got to learn how to skate better. If you're looking at an offseason schedule, you got 7 days. You got to be 6 days at least on. You get 1 day off in offseason. 2 hours every single one of those days should be power, explosion, and ability to turn, ability to control on your skates. So you're talking about every single week, 12 hours a week, at least needs to be dedicated to that.
The things that William Dufour is really good at are God-given. His shot, his quick release, and his hockey sense. I think he's got really good hockey sense for a winger. Skating, and more skating. He needs to be a better skater. That's it. If that kid could skate, even on at maybe slightly below NHL standard, he can play in the league because he does everything else better. He's really good with the puck on his stick. He really is.
You can't teach instincts. You just can't.
No.
You can help improve them, but you can't teach it as well as you'd like. You have it or you don't. Druel says here, if you have to look for training camp to be the only bright spots for your team, that's pretty depressing. But hey, that's what Lou does. Yeah.
True.
Milo DeBrownie says, honestly, while the current team isn't a cup final team, these last few years have been way better than the crappy John Tavares years.
Okay, but that shouldn't be the goal. For a lot of fans, hey, I'm happy the way the team is now. I'm not.
Yep.
And the whole thing is, it didn't have to be here. It didn't have to be like this. We could have transitioned and got a team that was better, more talented, a team that could contend for a cup. But they decided nope, we're just going to ride this one into the ground.
Nick C. Grumpy.
You guys think Durando makes the team? I think our 2 extra forwards this year will end up being Durando and Gauthier. Ross will be waived because of his cap hit. They can just send him down to the minors if they want.
Well, that's what they mean by waive. You got to waive him first just because of the way his stuff is done. So
I don't think it doesn't matter. If it's Durando and Gauthier, they're never going to play.
They're going to be a healthy scratch. I don't think for Durando's development, it's good to say, hey, we're just going to have you as a healthy scratch for the entirety of the year.
All right. Hudson Fasching is playing. He's playing every game, as he should. You got the 4th line. They're all going to play.
We talked about it. It's either going to be Hudson Fasching or it's going to be Simon Holmstrom, right? Simon Holmstrom or Hudson Fasching is going to be a healthy scratch because, right, Engvall is going to play. You've got Oliver Wahlstrom back. He's not going to sit. So we have the same exact forward group back, minus Zach Parise, but we added Oliver Wahlstrom back. At the end of last year, Simon Holmstrom was sitting, and so was Josh Bailey. So you're going to have Simon Holmstrom or Hudson. I don't think Hudson Fasching is going to sit. It's probably going to be Simon Holmstrom or somebody else based off of who's the flavor right now, and maybe Gauthier. So Durando will not be up in the NHL. It's going to be those 2 guys are your healthy scratches or those are your extra skaters.
I would
maybe Ross Johnson. Who knows?
If it was me, I would send Holmstrom down. He's got to play every single night. Unless you're just saying, hey, at 21 years old, this is what he is. He's just
a
fill-in guy. He's just a fill-in guy.
How depressing would that be?
It would be depressing. Gauthier, he's used to playing that type of, 4th line, sitting out. He's a veteran, more of a veteran than Holmstrom is. I want those guys getting extra time playing in the A.
Yeah.
And Hudson Fasching needs to play every night. Sorry.
George P. said, I must have missed it. Where were all of Lou's hockey trades today?
Well, I think he's talking about Pittsburgh maybe making a deal for Carlson. I call that a hockey trade.
Rick Roma says, Lou locked up Engvall. That's for you, TJ. Thank you. Engvall for 7 years, and you guys are still complaining. There's no pleasing spoiled Islander fans. Hold on. Are you excited about Engvall being locked up for 7 years?
That's the worst signing there was.
We're not locking up top tier players for 7 years. We did that with Sorokin, right? I like the Sorokin signing. I like that type of stuff. But for Engvall, the guy's been, best case scenario, he's a middle 6 guy. On a good team, he's bottom 6. On Toronto, he's a bottom 6 guy. On a good team with a good forward group, he's a bottom 6 guy, third or fourth liner. I'm not like it's the same shit with Casey Cizikas. We did not celebrate when we gave Casey Cizikas a 6-year contract. Why the hell would we celebrate a guy who's on a bottom 6 getting a freaking 6 or 7-year deal? It doesn't make sense. You can get cheap guys that replace those guys all the time. You could siphon through your bottom 6 so you don't have to give them long, bloated contracts.
They're a dime a dozen. A dime a dozen.
You can find your Hudson Fashings every single offseason. That's what those guys, there are professional scouts who get paid to identify guys just like Hudson Fashing and to determine, can this guy play? And guess what? Hudson Fashing is making a third of what, or less than a third of what Pierre Engvall is making for a fraction of the amount of term.
That's what it is. Pierre Engvall's agent, he must have been doing cartwheels when he said 7 years times 3. He's like, yeah, man, this is sign it now. Sign it yesterday. Get it down there. Get it done. I mean, 7 years for a ham and egger like Engvall. There it is. He was
a ham and egger.
Oh, that's what he is. He's a ham and egger.
Oh, man.
He's just.
Gar said, here's a guarantee for the season. In game 1 and game 3, we will watch a young and fast team.
I don't even know what our schedule is.
Hold on, I'll pull it up here in a second.
Maybe we should break it down. We can do that one. Let's break it down what our record's going to be.
He said, Rick almost said, he was being facetious. I still can't believe Engvall got 7 years. It's still hilarious to me.
If you wanted to give him 2 years at $3 million, I'm fine with that. Okay. But what they don't understand, well, they do understand it, but what fans don't understand is when you're signing ham and eggers like this to long-term deals, you're stuck with them, which means you don't have maneuverability moving forward. Oh, geez, we're going to have Pierre Engvall on this team and Scott Mayfield on this team well into their 30s, into their mid and late 30s. There's nothing special about those players.
The Sabres and the Devils are the game 1 and game 3.
Those are 2 losses.
It's early yet in the season. Sometimes guys come out slow. You'd expect a veteran team not to come out slow. Young teams sometimes come out slow.
When do we play Carolina?
Our first loss to Carolina this year will be on November 4th.
November 4th.
Hey, let's start looking at our schedule, looking at the first 10 games. We play the Red Wings. Ooh, the Red Wings.
No, we'll beat the Red Wings. I don't think the Red Wings are very good. You like them much better than I do. What about 10 games?
JP says, who are the Islanders playing in those
already
games?
Broke it down.
Yeah. Gungun said, Gungun Grumpy.
TJ, I don't think you properly discussed the other night what you thought of the film Scarface. Was it a classic or was it as overlooked as Dominic Hasek?
I don't think here's the thing. I never watched it when it originally came out. I watched it many, many years afterwards. I think you
certainly didn't see it when it came out. You weren't even alive.
That's what I said. I watched it many years after the release date, and so many movies that I have seen have tried to replicate that. So I feel like I've seen the versions of that before, but I never saw the original. And like not seeing the original first, I think it's like when you watch Anchorman. All the jokes are outdated. It's like, okay, that's the first time they did one of those type of movies. It doesn't have the same effect because they never watched it originally. And then you watch it 10 years afterwards and you're like, oh yeah, not that big of a hit. I didn't like Scarface that much. It was okay. Nothing to write home about, in my opinion.
I think Scarface was dated. I never thought it was a great movie. I thought they were great. I think it's got the rep because there were great lines in it. I think that's what's most important. It has the lines and has a cult following like that. But as an overall movie, I think there's 237 F-bombs in it. And I don't think it was Al Pacino's best work. I'll just say that.
George P. says, the powerless play. Nick C. says, what are your guesses to who we waste our next first-round pick for?
It's not going to be next year. I guarantee you we move that.
Oh, no. He means who we're going to give up or who we're going to go ahead and trade at the deadline.
No idea.
For. Too early yet to tell. Doug R. says, yep.
Maybe Ryan Reeves. Maybe we trade for Ryan Reeves.
Rick Roma, Grumpy.
Grumpy old man, did you watch The Offer? I did. It's a show about the making The Godfather. Loved it. I enjoyed it as well.
Gungun says, almond butter more than meets the high standard set by peanut butter. You got to trust me on this. No. Okay. I'm not trying almond butter, Gungun. I do drink almond milk. Sure. A little sweetened almond milk's nice. George P says, rolling on the floor, laughing out loud. They can bring in Bailey on a PTO.
Oh,
No,
could you imagine that?
No,
if they bring Bailey back? Oh,
they can't. They can't do it based off like the CBA. They can't do that. Johnny Mack says here, I don't have any confidence in management to make any moves to make us better. I do have confidence in whatever moves that are made will destroy our future. Yes, I agree. I'm on that. Johnny Mack, I cannot agree more with that statement.
They've been doing it for years.
Yep.
Need new management.
Scott L says, for training camp, I'm interested to see how Isaiah George will do. He's another one of those young guys who was drafted in that 2022 draft class, who's a good skater of the defenseman, but plays, I think, for the London Knights in the Ontario Hockey League.
Okay. Just throwing this out here. You have Pelech, Pulak, Mayfield locked up for at least 7 years.
Yep.
You got Dobson, who's going to get re-upped. You have
Romanov.
What space do you have for a George and an Odelius?
Callie Odelius, Isaiah George. You got maybe a spot for Samuel Bolduc, but yeah, guys, you don't have a lot of spots.
I mean, that's what happens when you lock guys up who are 30 years old or close to it to long-term deals. You don't. There's no room for advancement for your team. A new GM is going to have to come in and move some of those guys out. And you're going to get less value than you should, but they're going to need to do that.
Yep, I agree. Johnny Mack said, I have more confidence in Auburn football. We'll have 8 wins than the Islanders will have 8th place. Wow. I tell you, that's saying something. Rick Roma says, the Islanders prospect pool is a disaster. The only thing Lou has of value is a first-round pick. I'd be shocked if Lou didn't trade another first-round pick at the deadline. Yes, I would be too. We're going to trade that first-round pick away at the deadline. And you know what will be the complete of Lou Lamoriello as the general manager of the Islanders? If you do not make the playoffs this year and you trade away the first-round draft pick, that would just have the kiss of death to the franchise for the next decade.
He doesn't move guys who are UFAs. Just doesn't do it. This year he doesn't have any. He's got Martin and Clutterbuck.
Michael M. What's up? He says, so Saros, who outperformed Sorokin in Nashville, made the playoffs, right?
Who said Saros outperformed Sorokin?
You're talking about 2 years ago? 2 years ago, UC Saros did, but I don't think this last year. Nashville didn't make the playoffs last year, so this must have been 2 years ago. The team down the stretch is why they made the play. No,
wrong.
Michael,
Wrong.
Michael, no.
Wrong. Wrong, and more wrong. Wrong.
Cliff Neal, Grumpy.
Just when I thought he could be more wrong, he proves me right. He is wrong. He proves me wrong again. Thank you. Cliff Neal says, I know where they stand with the cap and the lack of resources, but I can't shake the very uneasy feeling that Lou will make some shuffling moves to bring in Adam Henrique as a left-wing run. I don't want him. It's Lou. He loves those former players. He does. How old is Adam Henrique?
Old, man. He is older now. He's I think 30-something, isn't he?
All right. If you could bring in Adam Henrique for a 5th-round pick, would you do it? I would.
Oh, he's 33 years old. No, I stop giving up.
But how many years does he have left on his deal?
I think he's got 2 years left.
I would. Okay, they're in win now mode. They're in. If you say a 5th-round pick gets you Adam Henrique, I would absolutely do that. I would do that.
Adam Henrique, no, he's in the last year of his deal this year. His cap it is $5.8 million. So that ain't.
We don't have money for him unless
you're getting rid of Jean-Gabriel Pageau. It's not happening.
Yeah. And that's the problem. Us picking up anyone else in the offseason, it's like you're going to have to shed cap, and he hasn't proven he can do that without giving up tons of assets.
He's a 33-year-old, and
maybe if they eat half the contract or something like that, I consider it. I would consider it. You need a left wing. Don't have one.
Michael M says, I hope the defense comes back to form next year. It's that simple. I hope so too. I just think that may be wishful thinking. Maybe it does. Maybe it does. I will say during the regular season, I thought this was one of the worst regular seasons I've seen in recent memory for both Adam Pelech and Ryan Pulak. I thought they were both underwhelming in the regular season. I thought Mayfield took a step back. I thought that, again, we tried to play one system, that we tried to move into the current style NHL, couldn't do it. We went back to the trot style, and we saw our goals completely dry up. Our power play looked awful. It just yikes. So
Maybe just they got fat, dumb, and happy with those big long-term deals, like a lot of players do.
Now here's the thing. I have never mentioned that yet. I do think about it occasionally. Now, for those guys, I've never had a reason to think that they're those type of guys, but they could be. I don't know. Here we go. Drew says here, as long as we finish 10th to 12th by January, Lou will absolutely buy. We need to really stink it up in order for him to make a move. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to one-up this. I want our team. I do want Lou Lamoriello to buy at the deadline, but us not to make the postseason, because I think I don't know how you can keep your job if you don't make the postseason 2 out of the last 3 years and you've bought at every deadline. Or you bought it at 2 of the deadlines. I don't know how you can keep your job like that. We're continually trading away first-round picks. If you only make the playoffs 1 out of the last 3 years and you just came off a time period where it was Stanley Cup or bust, general manager has to go. The sooner Lou Lamoriello is shoot out of the door, the better. I think that's the best for the franchise.
If you want to know how you can keep your job, you got to be a GM of the New York Islanders.
Oh, God. Look
at how long Snow was here and Milbury was here. I mean, think about it. Doesn't matter how they perform.
Michael M says if Noah Dobson can even be average defensively next year, they're not going to need Ilya Sorokin at 120%.
He was average defensively last year.
I encourage you to watch guys like Erik Karlsson, Cale Makar, guys who play Ryan Ellis, guys who play Shane Gostisbehere. There are a lot of people who play zero defense in the league or all offense, and there are a lot of guys who play zero offense and are all defense. Noah Dobson's one of those guys in the middle who has a touch of offense and has a touch of defense.
It's the fact where you think Noah Dobson looks bad is because the Islanders are so pathetic offensively, and they're always in their defensive zone. If they had the puck like most teams, attacking in the offensive zone, he looks a lot better.
Yeah, sure. Yep, I agree with you. You're not going to be pinned in your own zone.
He's not Scott Stevens back there. He's just not. Never will be.
I agree. Jeffrey W. says here, Lou really cares. About what? I have no idea.
No idea.
A broken door, says
George. That's a Rodney Dangerfield thing. Lou really cares. About what? I have no idea.
Nick C. Grumpy.
It might just be me, but I feel Lee should play the third line, correct? Give Wally a shot at the first line. You got to give Engvall, Nelson, Palmieri some run to see if they can keep that chemistry. I want somebody who can skate on the first line with Barzell. Period. Need somebody who could skate.
JP, grumpy old man.
At this point, it doesn't shock me if Lou trades the first overall pick for Noel Acari. Oy vey.
God. Doug R, grumpy old man.
Does Lou trade the 2024 first-round pick before or after the season starts? It'll be after.
After, absolutely. Michael M says, watch any highlight reel. Number 8 is in every big save. I'm going to go out and just say,
you know who's on every big goal? Number 6 and number 3. They were terrible last year. Terrible.
Oh, man. Rick Roma, grumpy. Lou's definitely trading away that pick. Absolutely. He's being paid $8.25 million a year. He's not putting up a 9.20. He's not earning his contract. So Shesterkin, like when he gets those contracts, if he's putting up like a 9.16, he's not earning the contract. Then there's a lot of guys who make. I wonder how many goalies really quickly make over that. I got to look that up. How many goalies?
Carey Price, Bobrovsky, Vasilevsky. You got some guys who make pretty good coin.
Okay. Yeah, Vasilevsky makes 9.5. John Gibson only makes 6.4. I got to pull this up here for 2024. Date here.
I mean, I don't know how many guys make Sorokin's money, but you can argue that
he's the 4th highest paid goalie in the NHL.
There you go. So I named the other 3. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, again, Vasilevsky. I don't know what Vasilevsky did last year, but he certainly didn't earn that contract, and neither did guys like Carey Price. Bobrovsky maybe did in the postseason.
In the postseason, but not in the regular season. He did.
Sure. Yep.
He hasn't earned that.
So again, I'm just big point is goalies have up and down years.
Yeah.
And most goalies do, unless you're a Hall of Famer. Doug R, grumpy old man.
Both Clutterbuck and Martin are UFAs after this year. I will lose my shit if Lou resigns either one of them. There's no way they should be resigned.
Wait, contract starts year after. I don't expect some big drop off.
I don't know what he's talking about.
I don't know either. Any team TJ has an average save percentage is going to do worse. No. Here's the thing: at a 916 or a 919, that's not average of a save percentage in the NHL. It's just not. It's still well above average. But I'm just to continually expect that our goalie is going to post like top 3 numbers every single season. I don't know.
Could it happen? Sure. It could happen, but
if it does, Sorokin's a Hall of Famer.
It has a higher probability of happening than us making the playoffs.
I agree with that. Drew says he'll cause. He will because he's right in the middle ground. If mediocre, Rick Roma says, in fairness to Shesterkin, Sorokin plays in a much better system than Shesterkin. I do agree with that. The Rangers hung Shesterkin out to dry against New Jersey in the first round, and he was still great. I do agree that defensively, in the system that they ran, the Rangers were much more porous on the defensive side of the puck than the Islanders were. We hemorrhaged a lot of chances going our way, but I think the Rangers were a little worse defensively than we were.
I agree.
Rich Rosenkrantz, Grumpy says, grumpify me. Somebody will shit the bed in the first half of the year. Who do you think that is? And who do you feel is our first call-up?
It depends on who your bench forwards are. I think Gauthier will be the first guy to get a shot in the lineup. I don't think he'll start on game 1, but I think he'll be the first guy to get a shot. And who will be sent down? You know what? I'm going to say Wahlstrom.
Wahlstrom will be the first guy sent down?
A guy who's going to shit the bed the first half of the year.
Okay, gotcha. You really think no, it's going to be Engvall. If there's a guy who shits the bed, it's Engvall in his role.
Okay.
And it's a guy who shits the bed.
Well, it depends on what your expectations for Engvall are. Mine are, I don't care that he plays on the second line.
Lineup. If Holmstrom finds a way in the lineup, he'll be the guy who shits the bed.
He won't start.
But my guy, if there's an injury, a guy gets a little bit of a nagging injury and Holmstrom's in the lineup, he'll be the first guy who gets the boot. I don't think much of him. Michael M saying here, just letting you guys know, the Islanders as a team finished top 13 to 14 and 5-on-5 goal scoring. League average defensively and the end of the year. Ilya's job got much easier until they ran into Carolina.
And yeah, Carolina missing 3 of their top 6 forwards, using a backup goalie, and you still lost.
I will say this. I don't know why people they cling so much to, the 5-on-5 goal scoring, as if I think 5-on-5 goal scoring completely diminishes and it overlooks how important a power play is. The reason why our power play consistently finishes bottom half of the NHL. We had the one outlier where it didn't, but consistently we're bottom half of the NHL. And our fans consistently think, we're just focused on 5-on-5. You got to look at the whole picture. How many goals are we scoring in general?
And that's right. It's how many goals you score, period. Because in the year that we had a good power play, our 5-on-5 was down.
Yes.
I mean, we're just not talented enough. That's it. Come back and talk to me when we're not in the playoffs next year.
God gracious. Okay.
I just hate being right all the time. And here's the thing. I'm right about this, just like I'm right about just 99% of the things that I talk about. We're not making the playoffs. I hope I'm wrong.
Postseason, if we do make I hope if we make the postseason, I can guarantee you we're giving up more draft picks. Our first round pick for this next year is as good as gone. It is.
I agree.
I just hate that fucking mindset. And especially when we're not good enough to win a Stanley Cup. We're not even close. Drew L. Grumpy.
TJ just pulling up the stats and why we should never blame Sorokin for any wrongdoings.
Yeah, here's the thing.
Anyone who says that Sorokin's the reason this happened, no. He's the best goalie. He was Superman. He was Superman all year.
He's the best goalie that's ever worn an Islander sweater. I didn't think it's close for second.
Most talented for certain.
I think best. I think best and talented are synonymous.
You got to win something.
Okay, I'm going to put it like this:
most talented,
best.
Okay.
If you put Sorokin back there in that time period when the Islanders won 4 straight cups, maybe the Islanders win 5 or 6 on the back of Sorokin. He's that damn good. Drew L says here, Sorokin's jersey will be hung in the rafters for us. Phil's Facts will be pissed about that.
Pump the brakes. Pump the brakes a little bit. A little
if he
early.
stays healthy, he absolutely will.
A little early. Let's pump the brakes a little early. I'm going to give Drew the same lecture I give TJ.
Hall of Fame, Sorokin!
Sorokin's had 2 full years in the league, right, where I consider 2 years where he's been the de facto starter. Pump the brakes a little bit.
Michael M says, Barzal deserves a heart for carrying that wet dog shit piece of crap Bailey surviving a buyout for 3 years. Don't let TJ and Grumpy's narrative take away from the fact that every single preseason ranking I've read has the Islanders 3rd in the division and top 10 in the offseason decisions. Okay. For all the Lou critics, they are sucking him off. Hold on. Hold on. I've got to now, Michael.
Name one. I'm sorry. You're gonna have to give me some type of reputable. I'm not talking about some Islander related thing or Michael Moise's podcast. I'm not talking about that or Phil. They don't count.
I'm just gonna. I'll take us on a rant. I will pull us up on a Google search.
All right. The preseason rankings aren't even out yet.
Read this next comment. I'll pull up one. I'll find one through NHL.com and see where they rank us. Let's see. Go ahead, Grumpy. Read the next comment.
You truly think we can have 6 20-goal scorers? No. Andy Francis does. He told us we're gonna have 8. We had 3. Can we see Palmieri getting 20? Maybe.
Yes, if he stays healthy, I think Palmieri can get.
And 20. If he could actually play a full season, Horvat, Barzal, maybe. Brock, yes. Lee, maybe. Either Engvall, absolutely freaking not. Wallstrom, that's a must. He's got to score 20. I could see, honestly, maybe 3 or 4 guys reaching 20. Maybe. We don't score a whole lot. Are we going to play our defense first system the whole year? If so, no way. No way. A lot of these numbers were put up when we were playing more aggressive offensively and attack early in the year. That's when we were scoring more goals. When we went back to the defensive system, everything calmed back down. What system are we going to play? Do we play the Barry Trotz, Lane Lambert system, or do we try to be more creative offensively?
I have not opened up any of these. Well, actually, I have opened up this one. I guess this must have been a while ago. The way too early 2023-2024 NHL Power Rankings. We could pull that one up in June.
Okay.
Here we go. This one I would argue maybe is better, right? Because people are going to say, well, maybe we hadn't signed back the exact same players. Well, other teams hadn't added. I'm just going to pick the most recent one I see. July 13th by The Athletic. Now, let's see if we're going to get some excuses as to, oh, well, it's this guy. This is written by the Athletic NHL staff. So more than one person, I assume, has had their finger. Oh, look at this. Stanley Cup champion.
Oh, that's what I'm picking is Carolina. What do you know about that?
Let's look where the Islanders lie here on the percentage of vote. Oh, hold on. They're not even in the vote. Okay.
There's already two teams from the Atlantic who are in that mix, and they're the Rangers. And so there's 3.
The runners up are the Rangers got votes, the Devils got votes, the Carolina Hurricanes got votes,
and the Rangers too.
Dark horse. Let's see.
Pittsburgh. There's Pittsburgh. We're the Islanders.
Hold on. I'm just waiting to see where we see biggest disappointment. Well, the Islanders aren't on the list. That's good. No. I do think the Bruins have the chance for the biggest disappointment. I agree with this.
I agree.
And maybe the Florida Panthers. So I think they're going to be better in the regular season.
And let's see.
President's Trophy winner, best. Oh, looky here. We got 2 more teams in our division. 3 teams in our division receiving votes.
Oh, I don't see. We're definitely not coming in 3rd based on the Athletic, right? Fewest points. Are the Islanders in there? I don't think so.
First coach fired.
Lane Lambert. There you go. Finally,
Lane Lambert got a vote
for failure. That's good. Like that one.
Calder Trophy. Well, okay. Who the hell would vote anybody but Connor Bedard? You're just voting for somebody
who gets hurt and doesn't play.
Yeah. Oh, well, looky, here we go.
There you go, Sorokin. There you go.
There we go. There's Sorokin. There's your Sorokin.
Okay. So people are saying Sorokin could be Vezina Trophy winner. That's what people pick. Sorokin, Vezina Trophy. But the Islanders are nowhere to be seen as a team. What does that tell you about how bad we are?
Well, let's continue. I'm interested.
Hart Trophy.
Okay, it's McDavid.
Nope. Nobody there.
Here we go. 100% chance for the Devils, 96.8% chance for the Hurricanes, the Rangers. So just looking at the percentage of chance.
There are 3 right there.
There's 3 teams in our division.
Where are the Islanders? There you go.
29%.
There you go. That's kind of like what I
just
said.
picked the most recent one I saw on the list. You saw it was the first one that popped up, the Athletic.
10th.
So we're rated 5th in our division. 10th in the conference is where they have us. Now here's the thing.
Making the playoffs is like 30% chance. 10th. I think that's fair. I honestly, those are my picks right there. Those are my picks. Maybe Pittsburgh flip-flops with I don't know who. But that's it. I could absolutely see 5 teams making it out of the Atlantic. Absolutely. And that's the Islanders' biggest problem. We're not coming top 3. And I think we're 5th in division. I 100% agree with that. I should write for the Athletic.
Here's the thing I look at, Grumpy. This
is a whole bunch of people saying it. 32 freaking beat writers.
I don't know if it's a beat writer. It just says the Athletic staff. So it could be more than that. Could be less. I have no earthly idea. Now, here's the thing. It's, I reasonably think the best case scenario for the Islanders are 4th in the division for us, and we make the postseason.
Can you pull up the other articles? There's 2 others, right?
Okay. Yeah, I can look at the other 2. But this was done.
So we've already proven Michael Moyset wrong. Which, come on. We knew it, right? We knew he was wrong. But pull the other 2s up. Now, here's the thing. Number 2.
Rankings are way too
Don't
early.
even click on it yet. Don't even click on it yet. Everyone was telling me that ESPN knows nothing about hockey. That's what they say. Nothing. Now click on it. Now click on it. Everyone admits ESPN knows nothing about hockey. I think the Islanders were 10th, which tells you all you need to know. Everyone says they know nothing.
Devils, Avalanche, Stars, Bruins, Carolina Hurricanes, Lightning, Florida Panthers. Yes, the Islanders were 10th. That's right. This was the one where I was like, what the hell? How are the Islanders sitting at 10th?
Okay. This doesn't even count. This one doesn't even count because this is prior to free agency.
But I'm interested. I want to read the thought process behind it. The Islanders have 20 players under the reason why this is the justification as to why we think the Islanders are 10th in the power rankings. It's the reason being is the Islanders have 20 players under contract for next season. General manager Lou Lamoriello would like to bring back Scott Mayfield, Varlamov, and Pierre Engvall and Zach Parise. Well, he did bring back Scott Mayfield, Varlamov, and Pierre Engvall. Zach Parise retired. If he later chooses not to retire, he's done. He's retired, Zach Parise. The only player that seems like is on the outs, is forward Josh Bailey, who was on the outs. He was released, or he was traded away, and then they went ahead and cut him and bought him out there for the Blackhawks did. Who was a playoff scratch? Can this team use its core to create more offense, or will it seek goal scoring from elsewhere?
Can I answer that question? They better pray they can get more scoring from their existing offense because they can get anything from anywhere else. Okay, so this was even, and everyone's told me, Michael Moyset included, ESPN knows nothing about hockey. Seen in the comments 100 times, don't know anything about it.
I do like how we're put ahead here, but and this was just written by one person. Now this is written by I have no idea.
Lamoriello. Written by Lou Lamoriello.
Fredo wrote this one. This person, Greg. This is written by courtesy of Ryan Clark, Kristen Shilton, and Greg. I see a lot of the Greg. I can't even pronounce that last name. Wyshynski. They're on the Islanders. I will say
you're rifling through it so quick. It's tough for me to pick the name.
Wyshynski. I don't know. He's got us here at 10th. It was before way too early.
And that's before free agency. I bet you the answer is different now. Because, and what about CBS?
It's another one that's before free agency begins.
Oh, okay. So those don't count either.
Again, that's why I tried to just pick the most recent one after free agency was done. Okay, who is number 1? Vegas Golden Knights. Oilers are at 2. Avalanche at 3. Devils at 4. Hurricanes at 5. Stars at 6, Panthers at 7, Bruins at 8, Kings at 9. I will tell you that I think people are over looking at the last few. The Kings are much higher rated than where I think they should be. I think people are way too high on the Los Angeles. I like the Los Angeles Kings, but you're seeing consistently at least 2 of the 3, and I'm not sure what it looked like on the ESPN article, but 2 of the 3 have them in the top 10. I'm not sure I buy that for the Kings just quite yet.
To let you know, there's already 3 Metro Division teams that have been named in the top 10.
And here are the Rangers at 10. The Leafs at 11, Lightning at 12, Sabres at 13, Flames at 14, Kraken 15, Minnesota Wild 16. The Ottawa Senators at 17. The Red Wings at number 18. Oh, the Islanders are at 19.
They barely snuck into the postseason last year, and they lost to the Hurricanes the first year.
If this is not why you don't take any stock into looking at any of these way too early predictions, because they're all just full of shit.
I just want to read.
No
I just want to read what they say about the Islanders.
Sure.
The Islanders barely snuck into the postseason last year. True. And they lost to the Hurricanes in the first round. Absolutely true. The Islanders will probably be stuck in that position again next year. Lamoriello doesn't have much flexibility with his roster in the offseason, even less now. And a number of key players are approaching or over 30. Can Ilya Sorokin keep the team near the top of the Metro standings on his own? That is it in a freaking nutshell.
Yes. That's kind of, even though that's a way too early prediction, I do agree with the assessment. Now, here's the thing, though.
How many teams in the East were there before we got to the Islanders? How many? One?
Red Wings, Senators, Buffalo Sabres,
4,
Lightning, Maple
5,
Leaf, Rangers,
6, 7,
Bruins,
8,
Panthers,
9,
Hurricanes,
10.
Devils.
The Islanders were 11th. The Islanders were 11th in the East. I say 10th. I don't think Detroit beats them. I say we're 10th. I think Pittsburgh's better than us too.
I don't know where the hell we'll finish up. I will tell you this. I do think best case scenario, we're 4th in the division.
And that might not be good enough for playoffs.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll find out. I think again, it depends on who takes steps back, who takes steps forward.
So now that we have debunked Michael Moise's ridiculous comment, I feel so much better about today's show.
Oh, man. We got off on a tangent. Part of the reason why he's so successful is the team is in front of him. I do agree that the team in front of him, they did give up a whole bunch of chances early on in the year, but they looked better towards the tail end. I do agree with that, at least with the chances that were conceded. The Islanders statistically still didn't completely 180.
I just want to know what happened in the Moise household. Kim is so smart, and Mike, well, he's
no Grumpy. Come on, I know Grumpy's just messing around. We like Mike. We love Michael.
We do like Mike. He's just easy. He's easy for me. He's like Phil.
Michael says here,
I ask him for facts. They have none.
75 points is what he expects from Matt Barzal, and 70 from Horvat as a minimum.
Yeah, I don't think 70 is a minimum for him. I think 70 is about where he's going to be.
I think 70 is the high water mark for Horvat.
And honestly, they have to be there. Barzal's got to be, for me, 80 yes. Plus. And Horvat 70. Yes, I can see that.
What's up, Jeremy Ford? Been a while, man. First time in a long time. What's up, Jeremy? Hopefully you're doing well. Cizikas would make the first line go. I think he would, because he skates hard. He has a consistent energy on the line, and he's a guy who's not afraid to drive the net. It helps create chances.
He has a simple game. He's not afraid to do the give and go. He works well with Matt Barzal, just like Fasching did.
Yep.
Just all they need to do is play off Barzal. We don't have enough guys who do that. We got a bunch of lazy, slugly, slovenly dogs on this team who just aren't capable. He's one of the guys who is. Hudson Fasching, another one.
Doug says, who's got a better chance of the wild card? The Islanders or Detroit? Ooh, I don't know, Grumpy. Now that I saw that season prediction, I think it might be Detroit, Grumpy.
Okay. If Detroit.
It's the Islanders.
Yeah. I mean, if Debrincat plays like he has in recent years, watch out. I just don't think Detroit's that good.
I think Detroit's better than you think. I think Detroit probably finishes on the outside looking in this year, and I'll be interested. I'll be interested.
Okay.
Interested. That's all I'll say. Scott, or I'm sorry. I don't know how I got Scott. Joseph C said, I saw a piece from the Athletic that rated the Islanders farm system at 30 at 32 teams. Thank you.
What's the difference?
About how myopic it
was. What's the difference? What's the difference between 30 and 32? The hardness and softness of the shit? I mean, that's the difference, right? It's still shit. Stuff.
Whether you're getting anal fissures or not, or fissures or not.
Stuff that's a little bit higher up is probably more dry, but the stuff that's down low, that's like wet. You step on, it's like, oh God, it's on my went through my shoe, threw my flip flop onto my foot.
My shoes,
we're not that bad. It's hard, but you could tell you stepped on. What's that on my foot? Oh God, I got to clean out my shoe.
I got to throw this shoe away. Ugh, let me get rid of this thing. Got to put it in the washing machine after it gets washed. Ugh, my God. Got to put bleach on it or something. Yeah, but if somebody can link that to me, I was trying to I searched it real quick on the Athletic, but I did see like somebody had sent me a screenshot of that. I was like, holy shit. The Islanders are 30. I think the Penguins are 31st or 30. I don't remember what there was
Bruins,
one of the
I think the Bruins are one of the worst.
Maybe it was the Bruins. Yeah, I can't remember who it was, but I'm like, my God, our farm system blows. And I'm like, hey, here's the thing.
The Bruins are going to be where we are now in a couple of years.
Yeah. The Bruins have a few guys that are really talented that are tied to longer term deals, like your Pasternak, guys like that, like our McAvoy. Yep. Like they've got top tier goalies like either Olmark or Swayman, just like we've got Sorokin. They've got McAvoy, young defenseman, the way we have. They got a lot of players who contribute that are on the wrong side of 30.
McAvoy's better than any defenseman on our team.
I agree with that. We have more defensemen locked up, though.
Yeah, but they're in a similar situation that we are, just like Washington and just like Pittsburgh. We're all in that same boat.
Yep. Brian NY says here, is Grumpy going to answer the Barzal? Oh yeah, he wanted to answer. It
just took me a while to get there.
Rich Rosencrantz says sanity in April is that Wallstrom is lighting it up. Okay. Did Parise retire? Says Scott. Yeah, Parise's not coming back. He's retired. I'm going to say with a strong degree of confidence, we know he's retired.
Okay.
We gave up Zach Parise a phone call. Ring, ring, ring. He said he retired. No, he's definitely retired. Michael M says here, without knowing who the left wing is, 80 to 90 points is a bit much.
True. Okay.
True. Rick Roma says, I can't believe there are two worse prospect pools than the Islanders at this point. Points aren't everything, says Michael M.
Well, no, points are everything. Points are everything.
On your first line, they are.
They're period. Points for the team. Most important thing. Got to make playoffs.
Brian M.Y. says one of them needs to score 40 goals. The other needs to score 35.
Ooh.
That's a lot. That's a big ask from Matt Barzal. I don't think he's scoring 35 points. And I like Matt Barzal. Matt Barzal is going to have a lot more points than he's going to have a lot more assists than he will have goals.
And do you really think that Bo Horvat's going to score 40?
I don't think so. No.
I think 30. I think you put in 30.
Dale S says, can we get anything out of Wallstrom? That's the big question. That is the big question. That's all I'm going to say. That's a big question. I hope we do. If you don't, I was talking to Grumpy, and I think we said this on last show. If you don't get anything out of Oliver Wallstrom, it's gonna be declared him as a bust. You're coming on bust territory real quick.
This is the last year for him to produce.
Yep. Drew L said, don't mind me. Since there's nothing to talk about in the Islanders, I'm just gonna listen to the whole thing without chiming in the comments. Whilst playing Nintendo Switch Sports Golf. There it is. Jake Grumpy, Jake K. Look at there. Jake's got the family.
Okay. I know TJ's going to ask me to read this one.
Grumpy, Jake's got a comment for you, Grumpy old man. A big, long one. It's got your name written all over this one, Grumpy.
Long time no speak. Sorry for the late comment, but I am glad that we did not get Debrincat. I know I may be in the minority, and I think it sounds like sour grapes, but he does not sound like he doesn't sound like he's a team player. A writer from Ottawa said that he wants to get paid a ton of money on his next contract to the detriment of the team he's playing for. He wants to be the free agent that all teams want. For all doubters out there, ask why the Blackhawks gave up on a 24-year-old.
I will say, and now he may have issues in the locker room. I don't know a damn thing about Debrincat at all, at least to that extent, whether he's a locker room cancer. People, I think, easily say locker room cancers. Like they said, oh, Blake Wheeler, locker room cancer. Guys, locker room cancer. Locker room cancer. I've said that before in the past, and I've been wrong before in the past.
That's the laundry. That's the laundry talking. Those are the laundry fans talking.
Okay. I don't know whether I don't know if he's a locker room cancer. I will say this. The Blackhawks did a lot of questionable things that offseason. They gave up on Kirby Dach too, who's another young forward. They let Dylan Strome walk for free without tendering him. I don't know what the Blackhawks did. I don't know why they did it. Change. I'll change that. I know why they did it, because they wanted the best chance of Connor Bedard, and they got Connor Bedard. So I guess maybe it pans out, but like they gave up on Kirby Dach too, who I'm like, didn't get it at the time period.
You know what? I have a new nickname for Phil and Mike and guys of that ilk. I'm going to call them the Laundry Boys.
They're the
Laundry Boys.
I like the Lamanites better, but the Laundry
Lamanites is good. Lou and the Lamanites.
Lou's and Laundry Lamanites.
They carry the laundry. Absolutely. If you're on our team, you're the greatest thing ever. If you're not, you suck.
Mario says here, Beauvillier is playing in the same amount of games in Vancouver as Horvat did with the Islanders, and he outproduced them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Different system, though. They play different system.
Yeah, and I will say this. In Bo Horvat's defense, Anthony Beauvillier had better line mates than what Bo Horvat did in that stretch. But I do think that Anthony Beauvillier needed a change of scenery, and I do think his production will be better than what it was with the Islanders, no matter what, because I think he needed the change of scenery. He needed a little bit of a different place, and I think that will help him.
And another thing in Bo Horvat's defense, he had a family, so he was really concerned about that move, where Anthony Beauvillier just had himself, so he was able to produce.
Doug R says here, Anders Lee needs to go to the fourth line.
No, he's a third line guy.
Yeah. He doesn't hustle hard enough for me to be a bottom six guy. Is the unfortunate part. Matthew D says here, hypothetical, if Nylander makes it to free agency, do you pay him 7 years, $10+ million with Toronto? It seems like the choice is him or Matthews. No way they trade Willie there.
Going for another playoff push.
Going for another playoff push there.
What do you say?
When is he a free agent this offseason?
Yeah, next year.
Next year, I'm sorry. The next offseason, the 2024 offseason. Holy crap. We will not have the cap space to do that. And
wasn't the question.
In the hypothetical, if he makes a free agent, we find a way to clear up 11, maybe 12 million in cap space.
Absolutely.
This team, though, it's going to be continuing to double down on the suck.
I don't care. He's young.
It's continuing to double down on the suck, though, dude.
No, he's a top level player.
We're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. We got our dumb general manager locked up a freaking above average player having a career year at $8.5 million a year. We're not going to be able to do that. If our stupid general manager didn't do it, we could.
That wasn't the question. The question said, would you do it? The answer is absolutely yes. That said, this is why you don't sign a Pierre Engvall and a Scott Mayfield back, because there's
and a Bo Horvat.
Well, you make the trade for Horvat, you're going to re-sign him, right? They signed him for too much. But here's the thing: instead of re-signing Varlamov 2.75, Engvall 3, that's 5.75, 3.5 for Mayfield. How much is that now?
You're at there 8.5.
Okay. 8.5. Instead of signing those three guys back, you don't. You go for low-cost options this year, and then you swing for the fences with the Nylander.
It's easier to say we've got to clear $5 million in cap space instead of saying we've got to clear $10 million. It doesn't. So, like, hypothetically, Matthew, it just doesn't work into the scenario, because, like, if we took the cap out, he said hypothetically, but you're asking about the cap. If we're in a situation where cap doesn't matter, sure, throw $100 billion at him a year. I don't give a fuck if the cap doesn't matter. But here's the thing: the cap does matter, and the only players we have coming off the books this next year are Cal Clutterbuck and Matt Martin.
This is why you don't sign guys to long-term extensions. This is why you just let them walk, and you move up. If you had younger players, you just let the younger guys step in. There's no way we should have signed Scott Mayfield back. No way. No way we should have signed Engvall back. Right? You got yourself Oliver Wahlstrom ready to step in. He could slide up there.
Simon
Holmstrom. You got Hudson Fasching. You got plenty of guys signed for deals.
You're going to be healthy scratching a first-round pick that you had, no matter what, whether it's Holmstrom, because Fasching should not sit.
It's why
I'll be on the record.
It's why you don't sign Casey back for 6 years.
Yep.
I keep on saying to people, and they just keep on saying, well, it's only $1 million here, $1 million there. No, it's not. It's you keep making the same dumb mistakes by signing veterans over the age of 30 to long-term deals. All that shit adds up, because then when it comes a time when you can go after a guy like Nylander, you don't have the cash to do it. And then you're crying, well, we don't have cash. We don't have cap space, because you keep on making the same dumb mistakes over and over. That's why you don't have cap space. It's not rocket science. And for the morons in the world, I hate to tell you, the GM is the one who's making all these mistakes. Nobody else but the GM. He keeps on doing it. You want to believe in him? Your team's going to suck until he's dead. I'm just going to put it to you that way.
It's going to suck after he's dead, too.
Yeah.
The hole that he's dug us in, right? He's an 81, 82-year-old guy. They signed him to an extension. Who knows how long of an extension they gave him? And if we don't make the postseason, I don't think we fire our general manager. We should, If you don't make the postseason next year, fucking Lamoriello should have his bags packed and said, get the fuck out of the building.
And I don't want to hear from fans, well, he never would have signed here. Well, if he's never going to sign for the Islanders, your team is never going to win anything. Never. Never freaking ever. If you can't get a free agent to go to your team, you're never going to win anything.
In the history of your franchise, that is now, the history of our franchise is over 50 years. In the history of your franchise of 50 plus years, is the best free agent you could sign is Andrew Ladd. Yep. The highest name free agent you could sign is Andrew Ladd. You're in trouble. You're in trouble if you take the mindset of, we'll never be able to sign anybody better than Andrew Ladd. That's a problem.
Yep.
It's a problem. Joseph,
would you rather have Engvall, Mayfield, and Varlamov, or would you rather have Nylander? I mean, because that's what it comes down to.
You could have had Debrincat too if you didn't.
Okay.
Anyway,
Nylander's a better player than Debrincat.
Sure.
Just is.
And they're both better players than Bo Horvat.
They would. Okay. Nylander would probably
put up 100+ points with Matt Barzal, right?
Yeah, I think they'd be 1 and 1A for best players on the team. That line would hum.
I think both of them would be around 90 to 100 point a year guys if you had William Nylander. It's not going to happen, but it would.
Tell me you wouldn't pay money. I would pay money to sit in the stands to watch Nylander, Barzal, and Horvat.
I traveled to
absolutely.
I traveled to UBS Arena to watch them play the first game I'd go to at UBS. It would be worth me traveling there to buy tickets for a game than to travel back just to watch them play. It would be worth it for me. But right now, the team's not worth it for me to do that.
We don't have that level of talent. We just don't. And you keep on pissing away on just cannon fodder, which is what Engvall, Mayfield, Varlamov, all those guys at this stage of their career, is what they are. They're just nothings. They're just roster fillers. And you don't have a shot at a Nylander because you don't have the cash. The Islanders don't have the cash. Well, why not? Look what they did 3 years ago. Look what they did 2 years ago. Look what they did last
4 years ago. Look what they did 5 years ago. It's not like we're signing these guys to short deals. We're signing them to 7+ year contracts every time we sign guys.
That's the problem. You keep on. Well, that doesn't matter. The cap's going to go. Sorry, it's not. The Islanders are projected to have $5 million in cap space with the cap going up next year with 2 guys coming off the books. You got to move somebody. Here's the thing. They just don't. Lamoriello, not they. Lamoriello does not know how to handle the salary cap. Just doesn't.
Doesn't care to either. Doesn't care to learn. What's up, Pony Boy Curtis? He says, boys, I know Bailey didn't play the last quarter of the season, so I didn't feel like he was on the team. But can we take a moment and actually seriously consider this is the first year Bailey's not been on the roster since 2008.
Happy days are here again.
15 years.
He sucks.
Like there says, they were meaningless games for Villiers. Bo Horvat without Barzal was playing a shutdown role. Oh, no,
he played on the first freaking line.
I don't buy him playing a shutdown role, playing on the first line, playing on the first power play unit. That's not playing a shutdown role. I mean, how many
bottom line? Villiers had more points than Horvat.
He had better line mates than Horvat at that time, which we said to defend Bo Horvat. Bo Horvat was not playing defensive role. He was not playing the third line shutdown role. He was still asked to put up points. That was what he was being asked to do. Rickroma said, do you think if Bodie Wild got the vax, does he have an NHL career?
Yes.
Probably not.
Yes.
Probably not.
Yes.
Think so?
Yes. Yes. He has a shot. He has a shot.
A shot in an NHL career is different. I think he has a shot, sure.
If he was on another team, he'd have a shot. On this team, absolutely not.
Well, here's the thing I will mention too. He'd be playing in the A. Some teams, because they don't sign back 30-year-old defensemen to 7-year contracts, they have available spots open for defensemen. The Islanders, we don't have available spots open on our roster for defensemen. On this team, no. If he's on another team, sure. I think maybe he has a chance. But what do I think about his career? I think the move to Europe certainly did not help his development. And I think the relationship between him and the organization was completely soured. We talked about the psyche that young players have. Some players have mental fortitude and some young men don't. Some young men need to learn how to become professionals, and occasionally you've got to treat them with kid gloves. Just what you got to do. I've never been a big fan of just treating everybody the same and saying, hey, sink or swim. Some guys really are a diamond that's in the rough, and you've got to treat them the right way in order to get the maximum production from them.
He didn't get the vaccination. He was banished.
Yes.
They banished him. They sent him to Sweden where it didn't pan out. They banished him. They don't care about him. Let him cut him off your. Why even keep him? Because that's that old bastard, that fucking vindictive old piece of shit. Says, you know what? I'm going to punish you. I'm going to make sure you don't have a career.
Same thing they did with Josh Hosang. Same thing they did with Kiefer Bellows.
Same things. If you don't like the player, if you don't, and here's the thing, he knows if they're going to be part of the team or not. If you don't think they are, get rid of them. Cut them loose. We're renouncing our rights. Go somewhere else. He's a vindictive piece of shit who runs out the string on these guys so they have no shot at going anywhere else.
Same thing's going to happen with Robin Salo. Same exact shit.
Same thing.
Robin Salo never had a legitimate shot, I don't believe, in the roster. Gets a few games here or there. Got the first 4 games of the season, which was the penalty, the penance that they made Sebastian Aho pay for having the DUI in Sweden, where he blew that 0.01% that they were very specific on. And they didn't like that Robin Salo said that Bridgeport's not very nice of an area. They didn't like that he said that, and they said, we're going to make you fucking pay for that. Bellows, hey, we're going to make you pay for using steroids. We're going to make you pay for using performance-enhancing drugs. Hey, Josh Hosang's got some stuff to work on that we haven't seen yet.
We haven't seen it, but we're going to let him work on it. What?
And it's just it's the biggest load of shit when it comes to him. I don't like how he handles player relations. I don't. Because some players, I wouldn't have an issue if he treated everybody like that. Like if he treated everybody with the piece of shit mentality, it would be different. But because some people are part of the cul-de-sac crew and others aren't, determines how you get treated. That shit always pisses me off, depending on, hey, where you were when we came in and what your perception is around the league. That's going to determine how we treat you. Never been a big fan. We don't have any superstars to be doing shit like that.
He's too busy ball gargling on the freaking overpriced vets on this damn team.
Sure. Michael D said Barzalni's hit 90-plus points and played 20 to 25 minutes a night. Take control of the game every night. No excuses. Horvat's got to be an 85-point guy, 80-point guy, 35-plus goals. He should not be an unreasonable standard for him. I will say Bo Horvat will not have 55 or 45 assists. No way in hell.
You're going to be disappointed. That's not happening.
How high were the expectations for Gerald Didick?
Just as high as for Josh Bailey.
Drew says, dang it, Grumpy. I was going to do the seafood joke. Ah, there it is. Punaper Curtis says, is Alex Killorn to Anaheim the biggest overpay of the offseason?
I'll say close to it. If not, yes, maybe certainly top 5, right? Certainly.
Here's the thing. The teams like that are in the rebuild mode, they can overpay the shit out of a player like that. As long as you don't give them a lot of term, they can overpay the shit out of a player like that, because when the team starts getting competitive, he'll be off the books. When your team's trying to compete and you overpay players, it gets magnified.
What are they looking for? What's
veteran leadership to help bring the young guys and teach them how to be professionals. Alex Killorn has won Stanley Cups. He knows what it's like to be a winner. They're trying to change the mentality in the room.
He was voted one of the worst signings. But also, just to let you know, so was Miles Wood, so was Mayfield and Engvall. So yeah, it was all veterans getting ridiculous term and ridiculous money. I think Killorn was 4 years. JP says Captain Lou Albano used to joke about being on the very disciplined seafood diet.
There it is. Doug R says, any idea how season ticket sales are going?
Don't know.
I got to look that up. Matthew D.
For me, this season hinges on coaching, playing guys in the correct positions to succeed. 2 power play units at 22 to 25%. Top 10 penalty kill unit. We should be okay. Big ask with no info on who's on the bench besides Lane, though. I don't see any of that being something that's going to happen. Maybe a top 10 penalty kill unit, because the best penalty kill is your goalie. I don't see us being 22 to 25% on the power play.
What's this, Grumpy? I don't get what this means.
Imagine how slow we'll be on the outdoor ice.
Oh, shit. That's right. Because we're playing one of the games outside. Oh,
against the Rangers, I think, again.
Yeah, that's right. Stadium series. Goon Goon.
Why did Gordon Dineen always have a confused looking expression on his face? Or also like he was trying to squeeze out a fart? I don't know. I didn't look at his face that close.
Ari45 said, to be fair, Washington won a cup following that process.
Which
I assume it's more of like the defensive centric.
Look who they had on their team.
I was about to say they've got
loaded with Hall of Fame players.
I was about to say, I'd say one, if not two, guaranteed Hall of Famers, right? I don't know. Do you think Nick Backstrom makes the Hall of Fame?
Absolutely.
See, I thought so too. I think he might not be a first ballot guy, but I think over time Nick Backstrom gets in. And
He's a first
depending on what
ballot
John
guy.
Carlson does, John Carlson might make the Hall of Fame too.
Kuznetsov, Wilson.
I don't think Kuznetsov makes the Hall of Fame. Wilson doesn't make
okay.
the Hall of Fame. I'm talking about Hall of Famers.
Okay, all right.
Ovechkin obviously is a guaranteed Hall of Famer.
Okay.
I think probably Backstrom does. They had a lot of top tier players. I think a lot of really good players. Kuznetsov is a really good player. Tom Wilson's a really good player. I think John Carlson, depending on how long he plays, has a chance to be a Hall of Famer too.
They were really, really talented. They were President's Trophy winners for how many years in a row? They couldn't beat Pittsburgh. Too much talent, and Barry Trotz was not able to, and that was his biggest problem. He was never able to make adjustments come playoff time. He's a one-trick pony. That's what he is.
Nick Backstrom, just to give you career numbers, has a career 1,032 points in 1,097 games played.
Absolutely.
He'll be a guy that's, I think, going to make the Hall of Fame. I mean, he's won a cup. I think that helps. You know, I think it does help. Rick Roma says, I'm pretty sure Lou's son was in charge of the Devils affiliate as well when they were awful for years. He was a little bit, but he left to come to the Islanders before Lou did.
After he left, they had to move the franchise somewhere else.
Once I think it was once Lou was out in Jersey, he went to the Islanders. He went to Bridgeport, and Dad then went to Toronto. So I don't know. Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. It's a good question.
No, I think the year before he left, he got the job with the Islanders. The year before Lou started there.
Loser Lou chant. There you go.
Loser Lou kind of fits. That's kind of fit.
JP.
Loser Lou. Yeah.
JP Crumpy.
The last time we had an assistant GM that was great and coveted by the rest of the year and spoken highly of by Torrey and just let everyone else was Jim Devellano. Gosh damn it. Who Ilyich hired for Detroit. Absolutely. And he was there. He was great for years and years and years there.
Looking at John Carlson's number as a defenseman, how many points do you think John Carlson? He's played 927 games. How many points do you think John Carlson has as a defenseman?
550.
622. I think he's a guy, if he plays until he's mid to late 30s, he makes the Hall of Fame. If you've got a defenseman out there with 800 plus points and he, mind you, John Carlson's no slouch on the defensive side of the puck either. You're going to make the Hall of Fame. I think John Carlson, Nick Backstrom, and Alexander Ovechkin are all probably Hall of Fame caliber players at this point. I'd say safe that if things go right for them, they will.
I mean, goalies don't necessarily get in the Hall of Fame, but I mean, Holtby was really good for them too.
Holtby won't make the Hall of Fame just because afterwards it was not. He just tailed off really quick.
Okay.
Grumpy, next comment here from Swampbox 29.
Well, I decide to leave if the fans start to chant "Bye Bye Beaky." Bye Bye Beaky is pretty good. Bye Bye Beaky.
No, Bye Bye Beaky.
No, how about this?
Bye Beaky.
Nope. Something like that.
I like Bye Bye Beaky. Oh, that's a good
Bye Bye Beaky. The Bye Bye Beaky is pretty good.
Dude, could you imagine how enraged he would get?
He probably wouldn't even. Well, I'm sure
he would know. Trust me.
Listen to this show. He knows.
The Lamanites would let him know. The Lamanites who work I'd have to think that Lou runs everything with such an iron fist that everybody he employs, everybody underneath him who speaks to him is a Lamanite. And everyone, there's a lot of two-way conversation that goes on in those streets.
Everyone need to wear a Bye Bye Beaky shirt.
Dude, that could be the next shirt. Beaky the Buzzard says Bye Bye Beaky.
Bye Bye Beaky.
Oh, shit.
Bye Bye Beaky.
Okay, the cul-de-sac crew and Bye Bye Beaky. Oh, okay.
And there's another one that I've been talking about for 3 years.
I don't even know. I got to look. I don't even know if her store's still operational. I got to pull it up to see if it is. I haven't logged on to a store in over a year, Grumpy, so I got to look to see.
Jesus Christ.
Anthony Rizzi says, this ownership is nuts. Have you seen the prices for tickets this year? They're insane. No, I have not. What do the ticket prices look like? I'm interested. Here's the thing. Just wait until the middle of the season when you could just buy them off like StubHub or SeatGeek and you get them at like a fraction of the price. JP says here, I was alluding to your intro music that you did, intro music much earlier. Oh, gotcha.
It was free. That's why.
It was no, it was not free. It's not free. I had to originally pay for a subscription to that to make sure it was non-copyright sound. Joseph C says here, I never understood running it back even when you win a title. It especially doesn't make sense when you barely make the playoffs.
True.
Yes. Yes, Joseph, 100% agree with you. They'll be selling tickets on the dark web by the time December hits like last year. Yeah, exactly. The problem is, Mikey D, it's an exaggeration of what Phil is saying. Blake Wheeler isn't that good. Okay, Michael, but okay, would you take, here's the thing. I look at Blake Wheeler very similar to the way I look at Zach Parise. They're both guys that were towards the tail end of their career, took close to vet minimum contracts to come play in a role. And Blake Wheeler's playing a top 6 role for the Rangers. Zach Parise was playing a bottom 6 role for us.
If Blake Wheeler signed for the Islanders, the Laundry Boys would be saying that's a great signing.
The Laundry Boys. I like that. The Laundry Boys. Oh, man. JP Grumpy.
Gerald Dick was a solid defenseman, Goon. Too bad his only year going to the finals in 94 with the Canucks.
Oh, hey, just to let you know, Flex Crew, he said, 5-star review as always, Grumpy. Oh, there it is.
Thank you, Flex Crew.
And then Rick Roma, Grumpy.
I know you guys hate Jari, and rightly so, but the Penguins D was totally lost last year, and they added Graves and maybe Carlson. That doesn't help the defensive woes. Not sold on Pittsburgh yet. If Pittsburgh gets Erik Karlsson, they make the playoffs. Period. If they get him, they make the playoffs. And Letang said he'd already take a secondary role. You know what? That's what leaders do.
Hold on, who said he'd take a second role?
Letang. See, I don't think that Carolina's supposedly hot for him. That didn't work in San Jose when they were both there because Britt Burns and Karlsson both lead dogs. I don't know how that works there, but Pittsburgh, it absolutely works. You got one guy who's willing to defer. What does it say about Chris Letang? What does it say about him?
Leader in the room. You talk about guys who are leader. Hey, when Zach Parise was faced with the same exact obstacle, he was not happy in towing the line when they said, you're going to play a bottom 6 role, pitch himself a little fit. Now, here's the thing. When he came here, all was forgiven, all was good. Right. But and that was good. Humbled. He conformed.
He was humbled, and he had to accept. And to Parise's credit, he did.
Yes. Some people, as soon as they're a little bit more conscious about the situation they're in, and some it does take a little bit of while to kind of figure out where they actually are and to have that realistic conversation of what their current role is. But Ye Right 2 Pop says Ishikov is a player. The Grumpy Old Man is blind on Ishikov.
Not true. Not true. I think the Islanders don't think much of him.
I agree with
that. I just think at his size, he's not what they use. They don't use guys like that.
If let's say they have 10 games in the preseason and he plays all 10 and he comes out there and puts up 15 points, he'll be starting off the year in Bridgeport. He can average over a point a game in preseason, look like a god out there on the ice. He's still going to start off the year in Bridgeport. It's just the unfortunate thing of we sign too many guys and give them too much term. So you never have young players that can never make, but that's the model we've run. We don't need to have any sort of prospect pool because we're not going to use any of them because we're giving all of these guys 7-year deals.
Yeah, I didn't say that's what I would do. I said that's what they're going to do.
Robert Marshall says, I agree. He right. He should have been up last year, the day that Barzy got hurt. Yeah, I think he should get a chance, but he just won't.
He won't.
It's like the same thing. I thought that Robin Salo should have got more of a chance than he did, but he just didn't.
Nope.
JP says Nelson Doubleday seriously played a huge role with the Islanders getting Pickett to pony up the dough and put together a rogue ownership group in the summer of 1978. No team without him.
Okay.
I don't know who the hell Nelson Doubleday is, so I'm just going to have to rely
on you. Owner of the Mets in the Wayback Machine. Jason Larade, I don't know.
Jason L.
says, what do you guys think about the Pajot for DeBrusk trade rumors? Do you think there's any truth to it or just rumors? Why would Boston do that? Again, put the shoe on the other foot test. What's the benefit to trading Jake DeBrusk, who makes less money than JG Pajot, and they're right up against the cap themselves?
Yeah, no way Boston trades DeBrusk for Pajot. Not a chance. I was going to say, DeBrusk had one of the best years he's had in years. Now, the thing is, maybe they would have taken that at the beginning of last year. Jake DeBrusk was a guy who had always been underperforming the last 2 or 3 years. And then this last year, he came up and played a fantastic year. They're not going to move him. I don't think they're going to move him when they're still looking to compete.
I mean, Pajot has 3 years, $5 million on his cap hit. and DeBrusque has 1 year at 4. He's 26 years old. Why would Boston do that?
He played 64 games last year and had 50 points with 27 goals. He had a career high in points and the least amount of games he had ever played in a year besides the COVID season out. 64 games, 50 points, seemed to really plus 26. The entire team was fantastic last year, plus 26. He had a great year. And look at it. You look at, for the people who love the even strength numbers, he had 21 even strength goals and 14 even strength assists. It wasn't like he was loading and padding up the stats all on power play points.
And he's 4 years younger than Pajot.
Yep. Here's the thing. If a guy like that gets a free agency, somebody will overpay for him depending on how he does. I'm going to go out on a limb and say a guy like him he's coming off the best year of his career, he's going to put forward maximum effort to try to get a huge deal. And as a free agent, that's what most guys do. So, Drew L says here, gasp, TJ, don't say Noah Dobson. You're going to make the Lamanites so angry.
The Lamanites.
Angry. I like it. Nicolene says, Nicole is great. We love Nicole. We love her. Helen Yeller said, we need Phil Kessel.
Isn't he retired?
No, I think he's still playing.
Okay.
So he can't get another contract till his late 20s. Yes, Jake. Grumpy TJ, what's up? How you guys doing? Doing well, Helen. Hopefully you're doing well also. Boys, do you think Ollie Walterson is happy with his qualifying offer?
Absolutely not.
We talked about that last show. I couldn't imagine that. He's making less money than healthy scratch Ross Johnston. I can't imagine Ollie Walterson's too happy.
Me neither.
Doug R says Anders' first game of the year in the Beauty League. One goal and 2 assists. He's a beast.
Why are the Islanders playing in this ridiculous league?
I don't get why they do that shit.
You know
I
what?
don't think any professional player does that.
Anders Lee should just, he should be chasing around chickens in the backyard like Rocky did to get faster before fighting Apollo Creed the second time.
He should be on private ice every fucking day doing his own shit, training with somebody specific, a specific trainer with him. Every fucking day he should be doing it. And he should be in the gym where he's working with a specific trainer by himself every single day. That's what the off season's for, not to be screwing around playing in fucking beer league hockey, which is the Beauty League. Your job is to improve your craft. Your job is to improve your skills. By playing, you're going to have 82 games and all these practice scenarios today. You should be, hey, gotcha. My shot was off last year. How do I get that better? I need to improve my ability to pass. I need to improve my puck battles. You need to be working on shit like that. I need to improve I need to improve certain spots like that are going to translate to a game.
The beer league. They're great in the beer league. Is that a shock to anyone? That's the way they play in the NHL.
Nelson had 7 points in one of the Beauty League games. It's like pond hockey.
Who are they playing against? Old men and kids? Stop.
I got to look up the Beauty League because it's like there are quite a few Islanders. There are a few players across the U.S. that play in it too. But I'm trying to think who the hell also plays in it, because it's like I know like Brock Nelson did. I want to say other players did too, but let me see. I'm interested now, Grumpy. I'll pull that up, Grumpy. Robert Marshall, Grump.
DeForest skating improved from the beginning of the season until the end. It still wasn't good enough. Not good enough.
There's only 6 teams in the Beauty League. And I'll continue here. Joseph C., Grumpy Old Man.
I never understood Lou giving such long-term deals. It's not even about the money, just the commitment to those roster spots because of the length of deals. It hamstrings you going forward. Here's the thing, you offer them short-term deals. If they don't like it, just move on. Okay, thank you. We'll move on because there's always guys out there to sign. Always.
Okay, now I've got to show you this.
Oh, boy.
I was not sure how many actual goals are usually scored during these games. So this is a team in Minnesota. They're called Winnesota. They're in the Beauty League, the Beauty Division. Noah Cates, never heard of him. 1 game, 5 goals, 2 assists.
Tyler Pitlick.
Jackson Cates. I know Tyler Pitlick plays. I want to say he played. Does he play for Buffalo or used to play for Buffalo?
I don't know who he plays for. I've heard him, though.
I'm like, look at the names. How many household names do you see?
Mason Langenbrunner, I've heard of him. Ryan Swabot, you got to scroll. We can't see.
Hold on. Pitlick played for St. Louis last year, and he played kind of like a 4th line role. Langenbrunner? Are you sure you're not thinking of his dad?
I am, but I've heard of this guy.
Jake Livingstone.
Never
Name
heard of him.
sounds familiar. Ryan Sandlin. I mean, like, you're not seeing a lot of household names. Let me put it very simply to you.
Justin Braun. I heard of him.
Jared Moe.
Hey, Mo. What are some of the other teams in this?
Let's look. League? So that, I mean, again, 6 teams. Let's look at the. Let me go to. I don't want to look at roster. I just want to look at
Goligoski.
Goligoski. Is Goligoski still playing in the NHL?
No, he's finished. Anders Lee.
Yeah, Anders. Look at the team.
Helgeström.
Look at the
Grant Mishmash. Who else?
What would they look like without Grant Mishmash? Alex Goligoski. How does Alex Goligoski look in the NHL?
He's old as shit. Ryan Poling. Heard of him. He's another guy. They're all in their 30s. It's like it's a beer league.
Goligoski's 37 years old. Holy shit. Hey, he'll be 38. He'll be 38 in less than 10 days.
I'm surprised Lou's not signing him. Maybe Lamoureux is going to sign him.
Maybe they'll have Will Francis. Is that Alex, Scott? Is that Ron Francis's kid?
No. Okay. Alex Stalock. He used to be a goalie in the NHL.
He had a good goals against average of 8.18.
Gave up eight goals. Figures man. Anders Lee's on a team that gets hammered by 8. Doesn't it? Just figures.
Oh, that's good.
He's probably the captain. Well, you know what?
My. So we've noticed there's maybe a few names that are household names. Oh, Kiefer Bellows!
Yeah. Brady Shea plays on this team.
The Beauty League's the best league in all of hockey. Okay. This is better than the NHL.
Brady Shea. Look at the numbers that Bellows is putting up.
Hey, same amount of goals or same amount of points as Anders Lee.
This is the best team right here. Brady Shea plays for them.
Kiefer Bellows. Jason Zucker. Yeah.
Tyler Vessel. Rob Stucker. Who's this guy? What's the goalie's name? Kazimir
Caskioso. I don't know. Kiefer Bellows leads the team in scoring.
There's not much defense, so Anders Lee fits in there too.
We got to look at these last few teams here. The great Kiefer Bellows. Hold on, this team has scored 12 goals in the first game they played. Holy shit! Let's see how many of these names you recognize.
Alex Koopmeyers.
Is that a name that you know?
No.
Okay.
Schmidt, we know Nate Schmidt.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not notice. Okay.
This team is not a whole lot of talent, but they got some defense players. That Nate Schmidt's pretty good.
Okay. I could not recognize a single player in that. Let's look at the last 2 teams here.
Why don't we just go to the roster? Derek Forbert.
Eric Howla.
I like him.
Bobby Brink. He plays
Bobby Brink.
He didn't play, but he plays for the Flyers, I think.
Jake Middleton. Oh, Dennis Cholowski. He had a tryout with us last year.
Yes, he did. That he did. And the last team we're looking at here.
All you need to do is.
I don't want to look at the roster. I want to look at how they've done in the first game.
I don't give a shit how they've done.
I do. Hudson Fasching. Oh!
There goes Hudson Fasching.
The Islanders have more players than any other team in the NHL that are tied to these rosters. What the fuck?
Okay, we don't know that. We don't know that for certain, but it sure seems that way.
Okay, starting lineup, Hudson Fasching. You've got here Anders Lee. Who was the other guy we just saw on the list?
I don't think he was an Islander. Guys who had tryouts. Mike Riley.
Brock Nelson.
Jake Gensel
on this team. We've got 3 starting Islanders that are playing in the beer league. Or the beauty league. My apologies.
Jake Gensel plays there too. He's pretty good.
Yeah. He had no points the first game. Wow. Uh-oh. Brock Nelson had 0 points too. Uh-oh. Bad year. Bad harbinger of things to come. Hudson Fasching's outscoring Brock Nelson. We need to start worrying, guys. Oh, man. I like having a good time shooting shit like that. But, boys, what if Horvat turns into Andrew Ladd 2.0? He is going to be Andrew Ladd 2.0.
No, he'll be better.
At the end of his contract, he is going to be miserable.
Okay.
Miserable. You don't think he will?
No, I don't. He'll be better than Andrew Ladd was.
What about Curtis Grumpy?
Boys, what do I have to do to get you to cover Street League skateboarding on TJ and the Grumpy Old Man plus Sun X?
If it could be like
more than you've been doing so far. Which is nothing.
Oh man, I don't know. I don't know if you show us. We'll pull up some videos if you give us a link or something like that. We'll look it up for certain. Peter M says here, why is Holmstrom even a consideration? Durando, Gauthier, and Ishikov are all better
Because he's the only first round draft pick that he's ever had. That's why.
Normal people. Pierre Engvall, TJ, Pierre Engvall. That's right, baby. JP Grumpy.
Honestly, the only reasons I'd be excited at all about watching this product would be if Wahlstrom was playing on the first line and Ishikov playing on the second line. Yeah, I just don't see that happening.
Amen,
I'd be happy about that too. I just don't see it happening. JP says, but then again, I believe I have a good shot at getting naked with Claudia Schiffer as the aforementioned something.
And that Ishikov and guys like that are going to get chances over Holmstrom.
True.
Here, Grumpy.
Boys, it's never too late to get into something new. Skateboarding is a real sport. TJ, you could pull up old SLS competitions and you, Grumpy, and Sun X could break it down trying to understand. The guys who stay on the skateboard, guess what? They do better than the guys who fall off.
If it looks like they did something really cool, be like, wow, that's cool.
Is that like Tony Hawk stuff?
Yes, Tony Hawk.
Okay.
DJ's favorite team.
Hold on. There was another comment you had up about women's roller derby. That was entertaining back in the day.
TJ's favorite team, the Red Wings. There it is. TJ Grump, have you ever guys been stand-up paddleboarding? No. I don't go out in water I can't stand in. The BC Lions beat the Saskatchewan Roughriders 16-6.
Woo! Oh, man. Is that a Grey Cup game? I don't know.
No, it's too early for the Grey Cup.
Okay.
The Grey Cup doesn't happen until like November, I want to say. It's like the early portion of November.
Okay.
Okay. Let's do this. One last question, Grumpy. We're at a little over 2 hours and 30 minutes. Last question here from Goon Grumpy.
I like the earlier description, the powerless play. Speaking of which, what is Lou doing to improve it? Do you think is just going to magically fix itself? Is like Sun X replenishing water? Wow. Sun X does not replenish the water. Lou does not fix the power play. There is a similarity there.
Holy shit. Okay, my little brownie Grumpy. Did you see Oppenheimer yet?
Yes. Very talky, long, 3 hours long. I'm just going to say, if I was the family of Louis Strauss, I'd sue for defamation of character. They felt like it was necessary to paint. They tried to make some labyrinth plan where he was plotting against Robert Oppenheimer and was using the forces of the government. It's just not true. What people forget is during the 1950s when McCarthy was there and they had, the Russian hysteria, that they were looking at people who were communists, and Oppenheimer had those type of things. As a movie overall, it suffers from a lot of things that Christopher Nolan movies suffer from, which is that there's no real emotional connection with the characters. The female characters were basically afterthoughts. I thought Cillian Murphy was good playing Oppenheimer, but if you're going to give me out of 5 stars, I'd give it maybe 3.
Sounds like 3.
Cinematically nice, beautifully shot, long and talky. You expect at least to blow up Japan. We didn't even get that.
Mookie Betzer says, hey, TJ and Grump, can you please give a shout out to my son, Eyal? Am I pronouncing that right, Grumpy? Happy birthday, Eyal. It's his 13th birthday, and his bar mitzvah is next week. He loves the Islanders and listens to the show at night in bed. Oh, happy birthday, Eyal.
Happy birthday. Good luck on your bar mitzvah next week. We're so happy for you, and congratulations on becoming a man.
Now, you've got to memorize to read from the Torah. You've got to memorize certain things in the bar mitzvah, right?
He's smarter than I am. I can't do that.
I was about to say,
TJ can't even read English.
I can't read English, so it's going to be a struggle for me to read another language.
Happy birthday.
That much. Happy birthday, y'all. Absolutely. I'm trying to find maybe a few more here. TJ, do you ever regret staying up all night? Sometimes, but sometimes not. Better overall career stats than Parise and less games played. You're not giving him his just due.
I don't know who he's talking about.
Probably Blake Wheeler.
Oh, yeah, Blake Wheeler's good.
Yeah. Jackson T says here, we can blame Lou all we want, but it's really the owner's fault. They looked at his past and said he's worth re-signing for 6 years. It's that fault.
I don't think they know enough about hockey or don't care enough. Where this guy's got the rep, and that's why he's there.
Okay, let's see here.
Any more personal ones like EALs? I just want to make sure we give shout outs to people.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to look for real quick here before we.
Okay, I'll read this. You can continue looking. I'll read this.
Okay.
TJ, would you rather have a Jimmy Dean breakfast sandwich or a strawberry Pop-Tart?
Jimmy Dean breakfast sandwich, not even close.
There you go. Good for you, TJ.
Here you go. TJ sent you 2 leaks. He ignores both. I'm sure Grumpy and TJ will be praising Lou if he brought another 37-year-old who can't skate. I
don't think
Blake Wheeler. He's talking about with Blake Wheeler.
Jeez. He's a better skater than Anders Lee.
Yikes.
Wheeler. Why do I feel like Blake Wheeler's going to light us up next year?
I hope not. From Dallas to Boston, my annual look at teams that improved and declined this offseason. I'm interested to take a look at this. Now, I don't know how the Islanders could have improved without adding anybody new to the team.
I think that's the thing that we looked at last time. It was
this is yes. We broke this down last time.
It was the game. It was the just by subtracting
Josh Bailey made us significantly better, which is bullshit.
But Josh Bailey wasn't playing for us at the end of the year anyway, so I consider that 0.
Yes, we did read this article. We broke down how stupid it was.
But if you look at the teams,
rankings,
if you look at the teams ahead of us and immediately after us, Carolina, New Jersey, the Rangers.
Anytime you want to sell me on the line of bullshit that Josh Bailey, who played not a single game he was benched for the last 20 games of the season, missing Josh Bailey, him leaving, and Zach Parise, who I think was a net positive leaving, is good for the Islanders, and that results in more goals. We broke it down. We looked at how they looked at the numbers computer. It was a bunch of analytics garbage. We looked at it last time with more attention to detail on that one. So we won't do it again, but we definitely looked at it last time.
If Bailey had been playing a regular shift, okay, but by the end of the year, I think he played the last game of the year, but he didn't play like the last 10 before that, and he didn't play at all in the playoffs. So he was not on the team at the end of the year.
And Michael, we looked at this one last time too. We looked at Jay Fresh and looked at how ridiculous these
Jay Fresh. Anyone with a name like that doesn't know what the hell he's talking about.
He's just an analytics guy. We looked at where they had like Tampa. Tampa's finishing with 93 points, I guess. Okay. And Detroit's beating out Tampa for a playoff spot.
Buffalo's 84. Okay. I guarantee you Buffalo has more than 84 points.
Yes. I come on, please. The Islanders are not hitting 100 points. No way in hell are they hitting 100 points. I don't see that as possible. And hey, Jay Fresh has the Kings at 86, finishing 10th in their conference. Yeah, I'm not buying that one either. You look at how miserable.
I guess 10th. Yeah, 10th in the conference.
I'm like, we looked at these rankings last time, and I said this is the exact reason why analytics are a flawed thing to look at when you only look at that. And
hey, thanks for pulling up one from a guy whose name is Jay Fresh.
I remember he did like, oh man, just let you guys know, you guys were off by 9. Yeah, we looked at it. He made his little tweets about it afterwards. Okay, I like Detroit. There's no way in hell Detroit's finishing over Tampa. No way. And here's the thing too: the Islanders have added no one to the roster. We're expecting a different result with no changes. I don't get it.
No one is taking a jump, like a second-year jump, like in the NFL. They're all old guys.
Yep. So yeah, I'm just I'm not too sold on the Jay Fresh guy. Think about it. He's got Tampa Bay having the same amount of points as the Ottawa Senators, who are still selling pieces.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't think it's a credible. When I look at this, I just kind of laugh a bit.
Would it surprise you if Ottawa beat out the Islanders?
I don't think Ottawa's going to do much.
I don't think they're going.
I think Buffalo. Okay, he has Buffalo laughably low. That's laughably low. It's absurd. Buffalo is not going to get worse.
No, Buffalo has a legit shot. I mean, I don't know if they'll make top 4. I don't see them any lower than 5th in their division. And they could, I think Boston, that's a high for Boston. I know that's like 15 regulation losses more. But, if they don't get Bergeron and Krejci back, I could see them taking a tumble down the standings.
Yeah. Do we really think the Rangers are going to finish below the Islanders this next year?
No
We
chance.
talk about this too. We've talked about this ad nauseum. They've got
Taco's going to be better, and Lafreniere is going to be better. Those guys are stepping up. Hedl is stepping up. Wheeler, I'm all in on the Wheeler train now.
Oh man, I do think right. Like I could see. Okay, we're not hitting 102 points. It's not happening.
90,
not going to happen. Simple.
88, 90. That's about
I think we're going to be around the 90 zone, low 90s. I don't think that's out of the ordinary to expect.
That's too low.
I do like how he's got Winnipeg. He's got Winnipeg sitting with 107 points. Like, come on, please. That's why it's like when I saw this, I'm like, my God, it was laughable. And it's like, it's the reason why it's like when we do that, it's the reason why when we look back on our end of the season predictions, there are things that are way off because it's impossible to predict. But there was always going to be good selections, going to be really shitty ones. I knew the Devils. I thought the Devils were making the postseason. That was a good selection for me. There's other teams I was way off on. So I don't know. I don't take much stock in the Islanders didn't add anybody, but somehow improved their goal differential just because they got rid of a guy who's a healthy scratch. I'm not on board with that.
No.
And let's keep rolling through here, Grumpy. I'm looking for a few more. What's up, Frank? How are you, man? Good to see you, buddy. Dan P says here, doesn't Martin and Clutter come off the books next year? They do, but they're the only two people that come off. Let's see here. How much money do we have towards the cap? With the estimated increases, I think it's like 5 or 6 is what the estimated amount we'll have towards cap space.
You're talking about next year?
Yeah, here you go. David D says here, hey, fellows, after next season, we'll have 17 million in cap space. No, we won't.
No.
Maybe it's 7.
It's 4.987 million. Almost 5 million.
Yeah, and I think that's with just player contracts. That's not including the estimated increase in cap.
No, that includes saying the cap goes up to 87.5.
No. The cap. No. That's what our cap hit would be. The projected cap is higher than that. It's supposed to be like in the 90s, or is it supposed to be? Maybe it's only supposed to be 87.5. I don't know.
87.5 next year, then 92 the year after that.
Okay, gotcha. Hello, fellows.
Right now, we are over the cap. $486,000 over the cap. Next year, we are, as of right now, we are I'm going to say $5 million under the cap. Next year, with the cap being 87.5. This year, it's 83.5.
And he says we'll have Matt Martin, who makes 1.5 million. Cal Clutterbuck, who makes what, 2 million?
It doesn't matter. They're not even on the cap for next year. They're not even.
I'm just going over who he's got listed here, Grumpy. If you pull back up our page, so if you flip back to it,
Sebastian Aho, Cal Clutterbuck, Matt Martin, Carson Kuhlman. Those are all guys who are UFAs at the end
Oliver
of the season.
Wallstrom will have another contract to come up.
He's an RFA.
Do we think that Oliver Wallstrom, if he plays well, he's going to make more than $800,000?
They'll still lowball him.
Sure. But he's still going to make more. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Grump and TJ, if Ladd is the biggest unrestricted free agent signed in the Islanders, then what does that say about the culture change Lou Lamoriello has supposedly brought in?
Everyone has short hair now. No beards. That's a culture change.
Sure. Oh, man. Sure. I'll give that to you.
Lou Lamoriello served his purpose. Barry Trotz served their purpose. But you know what? You don't keep guys forever. There's transition stages. Gerard Gallant served his purpose in Vegas and then with the Rangers.
Yep.
He's not a guy. I don't feel Gerard Gallant is a guy to put you over the top, but he's a guy who gets you close. Not a guy to win it for you, though.
Mario says, what do you make of Lou won't bring them back? Talking about Matt Martin and Cal Clutterbuck. I've been asleep. Could you imagine if Lou brought back somehow Cal Clutterbuck or Matt Martin on one-year deals?
I can't see it. I can't see it.
Holy shit. He's done a lot of that shit that I can't see. He got Hosanged, says Dan P. That's a good one. I always like that one. It truly is frustrating how petty Lou is. Playing with these kids' livelihoods just right. I do agree with that. True. It is. And you know what? I hope he will be the freaking nail and get hammered. Right? Sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail, and he's a vindictive hammer. I'll tell you that much. I hope he pays for what he does. That's all I'm going to say.
If I was in the ownership group, I'd fire him, and then 7 minutes later, I'd fire the son. Both of you gone.
You're not going to bring them both in at the same time, Grumpy? Say, hey, I want to talk about what you got. Not at the same time?
No, maybe I'd fire Fredo first, and then Lou would get pissed, and maybe he resigned. Good, because I don't want to pay any more of your contract.
Robert Marshall said, TJ, find the article where Stefan Rosner was interviewing Bridgeport's new coach, Kowalski. He talks about Ishikoff and DeFore. Remind us next time, Robert. Remind us next time. We will definitely do that there. We can do that with Greg, because Greg's going to be on the show next week. I think Jim Cornet and Grumpy could be
Cornet.
Okay, sure. Cornet and Grumpy could be related.
You know who Jim Cornet is?
No, Grumpy. Is that something that you should be happy about, that comparison, or no?
Yeah, I like Jim Cornet. He's a legendary wrestling manager. Used to carry a tennis racket.
Why did he carry a tennis racket?
Because supposedly came from, and I think he actually did come from parents who had money. I think his mother ran a newspaper, something like that. They had money. So he was like a spoiled rich kid. He used to manage wrestlers, and he was a bad guy, of course. All managers are bad guys. That's him. And he hit guys with the tennis racket.
Bye-bye, Beaky. There you go, TJ. That's a new shirt. Yep, there it is.
Bye-bye, Beaky.
Oh, man, there it is.
I don't think we could actually use the Beaky the Buzzard picture, though. We'd have to be creative.
Tommy Schroeder said, TJ, is that a roll of TP and a bottle of cologne on the shelf, or is that poopery? Oh, these are labels.
Oh, labels.
Labels, and the other one back there is cologne, yes.
Oh, geez.
There it is. So, man, Grumpy, we're 2 hours and 53 minutes in.
All
I'm
right.
done. I'm going to get some dinner. What do you want to say, Grumpy, before we wrap things up, man?
I want to say love and laughter to everyone who listens and even those who don't. From TJ and the Grumpy Old Man.
There it is. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for, hey, man, it's a dog days of summer. We just love to talk some Islanders hockey.
Listen to TJ and the Grumpy Old Man tomorrow night.
Tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tony Cheese says, I'm going to change my name to Mike Hunt.
Mike Hunt? Where's Mike Hunt? Does anyone know Mike Hunt?
Oh, man. There it is. I made my sincere apology. Oh, man. Yes. But thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. We'll be with you guys live tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. Oh, my God.
How is this show 3 hours when there's nothing to talk about with the Islanders?
It's easy. Here's the thing. As soon as we're about to log off, Phil's facts starts texting in. He says, the Islanders are going to score so many more goals. He says, Dom is right. I assume Dom is the Jay Fresh guy.
Oh, my gosh. Thanks, Phil. Thank you. I'm glad I got a laugh right at the end. Thanks,
Phil. And I'm glad that Phil now admits that Detroit's making the postseason and that the Yzerman rebuild has been completed. I'm glad that we're on the same page. They're going to beat out Tampa.
Why do I have a feeling there's a Phil's fax phone call in our future tonight? I just have a feeling.
There might be.
Oh, my God.
Oh,
all right.
Man. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. We'll be with you guys tomorrow. TJ and the Grumpy Man. Wednesday, Greg Prado will be on. The great Greg Prado will be on. We'll be having a great time talking some Islanders hockey, talking some rock and roll, talking about Greg's recent books. I like that. When we talk rock and roll, Grumpy, you know what I do?
Sleep.
I kick my feet back like that. I rest. I have a great time. It's very, very easy. I do
play a little air guitar.
That's right, Grumpy.
How's it go? How's it go?
I don't know how it goes. The air guitar. Little air guitar action, Grumpy.
Looks like you were playing air banjo there. Oh, ukulele.
Ryan Richards says happy Halloween. Anyway, guys, thank
Tiny
you so
bubbles.
much. Oh, man. Thank you so much, guys. See you guys tomorrow. I'm TJ the Grumpy Man. We'll also see you guys Wednesday on the Islanders Never Say Die podcast. Thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you again, Grumpy, as always.
My pleasure.